coin toss.
Time for the toss in this historic series, the first ever bilateral meeting between Scotland and Australia at the fantastic Grange Club. The first of 3 T20Is, and the weather has put on a real show. I've got the captains alongside me, Richie Barrington, joined by Mitchell Marsh and Sir Richie Richardson, the ICC match referee. Richie, I think you got the coin.
Heads.
Heads is the call,
And heads it is.
and it comes down as a head. Mitchell, you won the toss. What are you going to do, please, and why?
We're going to have a bowl first. It's obviously our first time here. Get a look at the wicket and hopefully have a great day.
How fantastic a series is this for Australia? Not often you get to come to an associate and play more than one match.
No, I think it's great. And we've had 4 or 5 days in Scotland so far. It's been a great welcoming. People are extremely friendly, and I've certainly noticed how passionate they are about Scotland and their cricket. So hopefully we can entertain everyone here today and over the next few days.
It's a bit of a transition, isn't it? The end of the David Warner era and plenty of young faces in the team. Can you give me some team news? Any debutants?
Yeah, we've got Jake Fraser-McGurk making his debut, which is very exciting. He's had a really good 12 months. He's a great young kid, and hope he really enjoys playing cricket for Australia.
Mitch, best of luck today.
Cheers,
Always
mate.
nice to see you. So Australia choosing to have a bowl first, interestingly. Richie, what would you have done?
Yeah, I think we would have been tempted to have a ball as well, just with it being a fresh wicket. But look, I don't think there's too much in it. I think it's normally a pretty good batting wicket here at the Grange, so hopefully we can make good first use of it with the bat today and put a big score on the board.
You ran Australia really, really close, didn't you, at the T20 World Cup? How big an opportunity is this with 3 matches against the 50-over world champions?
Yeah, look, I think it's a really exciting week for everyone involved in Scottish cricket. To have an opportunity to take on some of the best in the world, one of the best teams in the world, presents another great opportunity, and it's certainly going to be a challenge that we look forward to this week.
You two had some potential T20 debutants in the squad. Any team news from you, please?
Yeah, we've got Charlie Castle making his T20 debut, and Jasper Davidson also his T20 debut. Really exciting for them. They've shown great signs early on in the international careers with some really good performances in one-day cricket. So yeah, really excited for them, and yeah, hope for a good day.
Richie, best of luck today and throughout the series.
Cheers.
Okay, that's going to wrap it up from here at the toss. Australia, they've won the toss. They're going to have a ball first.
Now that's going to give us a look at that new Australian bowling attack. Very different to the one that we did see when the two sides met in St Lucia. But what can we expect from conditions here at the Grange, which, gee, it does look a picture. But we have former Scotland captain Preston Monson out in the middle to tell us what it's all about.
Well, the sun is shining, it's warm, it's dry, and the conditions look ideal for cricket here at the Grange Cricket Club in Edinburgh, the home of Scottish cricket. It's been an extremely wet summer in Edinburgh thus far. However, positive news today. The forecast looks good for the remainder of the day. There is a slight easterly wind at the moment. If that does pick up later in the day, that may have an impact on proceedings. I say it may have an impact because boundary lengths at the Grange are relatively short when comparing to other international grounds around the world. Straight boundaries measuring 66 metres, to the east 64 metres, and to the west just 65 metres. Now looking at the surface, I think the groundsmen here, Tom and Kev, have done a fantastic job. A nice even coverage of grass. It looks hard, looks firm. Grange generally is a very high scoring ground here with an average score around 170, 180. I would also note it is a very difficult ground to defend on, so that will come into captain's considerations at the toss. All in all, conditions look great and should be a good day for cricket.
It certainly should. They are ready for it. I can see a few Australian fans have made their way up here as well, undoubtedly making the most of the opportunity to see Australia play somewhere where they don't often get to play. It's been 13 years since an Australian side has been up here. I'm very happy to say Andrew Leonard has joined me now here in the commentary box. What an occasion this is, Lenny.
Yeah, very good afternoon, Mel, and good afternoon, everyone. It doesn't get much better than this for Scottish cricket, for associate cricket, and indeed this fantastic city. Look at the beauty of this city. Here are the two starting 11s, and we've got 3 T20I debutants. When you think of how settled Scotland are, that may come as a bit of a surprise, but when you take 7 for 21 on your ODI debut, there's no real surprise to see Charlie Castle get his go in the T20I format against a country obviously that he knows very, very well. Jasper Davidson is the other debutant, and then for Australia, there's a real feel, Mel, isn't there, of a changing of eras, a changing of the guard. There's no more David Warner in international cricket. Pat Cummins, Joss Hazelwood, Mitchell Stark, none of them are here. They'll continue to play, but a great opportunity to see the likes of Xavier Bartlett, Riley Meredith in particular.
Well, yeah, and a lot of excitement there will be at the name at the top of that list. Jake Fraser McGurk. David Warner sent him a message on social media saying, all yours, champion. So we'll get to see him in action later today, and there'll be plenty of eyes on it. But a new look bowling lineup as well. Real opportunity for seeing young players to make their mark.
Yeah, there's a huge, I suppose, just opportunity, isn't there, for Jake Fraser McGurk. There's so much talk about him and his X-factor ability. Whenever he debuts, he tends to do well as well. You remember that IPL debut just a few months ago where he smashed it to all parts for the Delhi Capitals, and that came from nowhere. Has played the 2 ODIs, but he's now getting a chance in T20I action. And this, for me, it's a massive opportunity, Mel, for Scotland. It really is. They pushed them in a big way in the World Cup in St. Lucia, and who knows, Australia, they've never lost to an associate. We may see that, who knows, today, Friday or Saturday. 3 great occasions to look forward to. It
really is. I mentioned the opportunity, some new faces in the squad. Cooper Connolly has come into the squad as well. It's got a very Western Australia flavour to it. Quite a few Perth boys, and Mitch Marsh said yesterday it'd be a Perth 11, a West Australian 11 if he had his way. Lots of talent from that part of the country. But yeah, this really is a wonderful opportunity for Australia. A great day for Scottish cricket as well.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with Mitchell Marsh as well, the way in which he's spoken about helping to grow the game. Their duty is one of the best sides in the world. Remember, they're the reigning world champions in the 50-over format. Mitchell Marsh has spoken very strongly about saying we need to play more against the associates. We need to find a way to come to tour beautiful parts of the world like this. And certainly heard that Australia are staying at a hotel that very near to some golf courses. They've got in many days in advance. They've got plenty of white ball cricket to come after this tour of Scotland. They'll head south of the border and take on England in 50-over and T20 cricket. Something hopefully we're going to see more and more of now. And then you put into the mix the commercial factors. What is a sold-out crowd on Saturday? I think Friday's going to be pretty much close to sold out, and well over 2,000 tickets already sold today. I think more coming in on the gate with the way the weather is. We're in for something special. Richie Berrington, he's been there, he's done it, he's seen it all. The only Scottish cricketer to ever play more than 300 times for his country. If they could win here, even one game, it would rival that historic victory over England.
Well, also, he is the sole surviving player from the last time these two sides met here in Scotland, which says a lot about his longevity, Richie Berrington. He's made of the same stock as Jimmy Anderson. Now, pause for the anthems.
"Come on, Scotland," the roar in the crowd, and you can just feel the anticipation. It's a brilliant crowd for a Wednesday afternoon, a 2 o'clock start. Already a roaring trade being done in the drinks concession stalls, and we are in for a real treat here. I have to say, it's a historic series. These two have played ODIs here before, but they've never played more than one game on a tour. We are all set for what is going to be a sensational series. It really is. 3 T20s, the first one today, and then we play Friday and Saturday. Saturday already sold out. Andrew Leonard here alongside Mel Farrell to guide you through the first 6 overs, through the power play. We're in for something special here, Mel. Could it be something ever so historic for Scotland?
I'm still getting over the goosebumps that I got from that rendition of Flower of Scotland. And the looks on their faces, I don't know if you saw going down that line, I just think they are so up for this, Scotland. And they are arguably, our friends in the Netherlands might not like us saying it, but they certainly push Netherlands for title of best associate side in the world. Mitch Marsh has said it a couple of times before this game that is not talked about enough just how good a side Scotland are, and they've got a real chance today playing at home to really make a mark. The Aussies are here and they've brought the style to town, as you can see.
Well, I don't know how to describe that hairstyle, given my follicle challenges as you saw it. The toss, I'm probably not best placed to. Is that a mullet or what's going on there?
Well, you can't see under the hat. You have to see if it's the business up front for it to be a true mullet, Benny. But it's the tash that gets me. Wonderful to see the local kids involved as well. This will be a huge memory for them. Such an exciting opportunity.
Just saw the umpires coming out just before there. Today standing, it's an all-home umpiring panel, Ian MacDonald and David McLean, third umpire, reserve umpire today. We do not have any DRS in place. We don't have third umpire decisions for line calls either. Ryan Milne, but you're very welcome along to the coverage if you're watching in the UK. You joining us on BBC Sport and BBC Scotland. Back in India on Fan Code, and Pakistan coverage too, and down in Australia just coming up to 11 o'clock on the eastern seaboard, and Sydney and in Melbourne. You'll be watching live on Kayo and Fox Sports. Great to have you with us, also around the world on ICC TV. It's been a quite phenomenal job done by the Cricket Scotland team. The series came about late. Initially Australia were slated to tour Ireland, but now what becomes Ireland loss is Scotland's gain, and this man will be looking to cash in a big way. George Munsey, for me, Mel, is in the form of his career. He went past the 2000 T20I run marker in that World Cup game between these two sides in St. Lucia, and he's got a power-packed opening partner who strikes him as hard as anyone in the world game. Hasn't done it much against the very top sides in the world, but what a chance for him. 2 left-handers to get things going. Could they get the Scots off to a flying start?
Well, they pack a punch. I've seen Ollie Hares deposit many a ball in the tennis courts here at the Grange. George Munsey really is in fabulous form. He's playing his 150th game for Scotland today. And for Australia, Riley Meredith is going to get things underway. No Nathan Ellis is the most experienced in this Australian bowling lineup. A real chance, a real opportunity for Riley Meredith. Hasn't played for a number of years for Australia. It's going to get things underway.
All set for the first ball. Meredith to Munsey. Heard from Preston Mompson taking a look at the surface. Historically, it's a very good pitch here for batting, but there is maybe just the thought that with 4 or 5 days of rain, not yesterday, but in the days prior to that in Edinburgh, that they've left a bit more grass on it to keep it together for what will likely be all 3 games on this same surface, depending upon how it plays.
It looked a belter though when we went out there, didn't it? Looked like absolutely pristine. Got to a lot of effort here, the local staff.
Yeah, Munsey's been in demand, hasn't he, around the world. First runs come from a leg by, generous applause from the Grange faithful. GT20 out in Canada, I think it was a Super 60 competition or something to that effect, or 100 ball comp in the Cayman Islands, where again there was plenty of Scottish representation. Richie Barrington, Jack Jarvis, Matthew Cross I think was out there too. Mark Watt was down in the 100, didn't play a huge amount. Scottish players are rightly in demand around the world these days.
And I think every time they play in the World Cup, there's showings in the last couple. Remember in Australia, them beating the West Indies down in Hobart. Wonderful showing in the Caribbean this year as well. Each time more and more of them get picked up, rightly so.
Pulled by hairs, and it's going to be the first boundary. The outfield is always quick at the Grange. And if you're just wondering as to how partisan this home crowd are going to be, you've already got an indication. Warm applause around the Grange venue.
And I think a lot of people will be very happy for Ollie Hares as well. A remarkable story. He came up through the system and then was out of the Scotland team for probably around 9 years. And he's come back in the last few years, smashed it to all parts.
He'll go at it basically from every ball of this power play. And you think about him, 33 years of age now. When he gets it right, nobody hits a ball harder. And that's considering he opens with George Munsey, that's a big statement. Has had difficulty against the top sides, so hasn't played against them much, but he hasn't had much success either.
Yeah, so this is a test for him today. He's one who'll be, you imagine, around for a good time, not a long time. He's Ollie Hares, but it's a good time when he's there.
Clothed and gets away with it. Fortune, there was almost a gasp from the gathered fans. We've got over 2,500 or so in today, and then a sellout for Friday and Saturday very likely. Adam Zampa, he'll be the one to watch with the ball. The rest of this Australian attack, Mel, it's very raw.
Well, it is. You talk about the opportunity for Ollie Hares. Riley Meredith has played just the 5 matches for Australia, and back in 2021 went on the tour of New Zealand and the Caribbean, but wasn't able to cement his place. This is a golden opportunity for him.
Good tight lines from Meredith, so it will just be the 6 runs from the first over. Scotland, 6 for none. Really is it's just a gigantic occasion for Scottish cricket, this, Mel.
It certainly is. They've been excited about this since the World Cup, when the deal was struck between Cricket Australia actually approached Cricket Scotland, asked them if they could come here.
Yeah, certainly this tour has maybe come about later than Cricket Scotland would have liked in terms of preparing for it, but the opportunity to host Australia, excuse me, for 3 T20s, far too good to turn down, and they've put on everything, including the weather. Xavier Bartlett will get things going. Think about the single, and they will get through for it. Not known for their running between the wickets, these two. They're more known for their 4s and 6 hitting ability. Well, that's a well-judged single.
Just a second international for Xavier Bartlett. His second T20 match, I should say. Made his debut in Perth back in February. Playing in the Vitality Blast as well for Kent.
Cut away and a good diving stop. Backward point. Travis Head will be one of the star attractions here, won't he? That X factor he possesses at the top. Average first inning score here, Mel, about 170 in T20I cricket. Just maybe a few kind of initial nervous inklings between these two. We're trying to gauge how good this wicket is.
Yeah, I think it's like 2 boxers in a ring, isn't it? Just walking around, feeling each other out in these early exchanges.
Big swing and a miss. If he'd made contact with that, we could well have been seeing something we might see a lot throughout this series. The third umpire will be ready with that replacement ball case. It's not a small venue, but it's not massive either. And actually, this part of the square that we're at, it pretty much 64, 65 metres the whole way around for the boundaries.
think it almost looks smaller because the trees are so close, particularly at that nursery end. For those who haven't been at the Grange, the two ends, it's the same as Lord's. It's the pavilion end and the nursery end. Where Bartlett's coming in from now is the nursery end, but trees very close there.
Yeah, this goes up into the air, should be taken. Simplest of catches for the skipper, Mitchell Marsh, who is delighted to get the back of Hares and find an early breakthrough. And it's Bartlett with that breakthrough, Australia on top early.
There's always going to be the danger with Ollie Hares. He likes to go at it hard. He'd already got a bit of a top edge in the previous over. On this occasion, gets a massive top edge. Well taken by the skipper. Safe pair of hands, as you'd expect. Absolutely delighted as well to get their account underway. So Hares departs for 6. It's 8 for 1.
Brandon McMullen, new man to the crease. He's in at number 3. Hare's just got a little cramp for room, didn't he? And a big moment for Bartlett.
It certainly is. It's been a real breakout time in these past 12 months for Xavier Bartlett. He's a leading wicket taker in the BBL. He got a call up very quickly. It seems to have happened very suddenly, but for him, well, a huge moment. It's
worked into the leg side. McMullen is quick between the wickets. He wants to, and Munsey will have to go to get back, but he does. And there's definitely, I like that analogy you've made, Mel, about the two boxers almost kind of strutting around the ring trying to work each other out. Gets us to the end of the second. It's 10 for 1. Immediate change of bowling. We're going to see Sean Abbott come in, all-rounder. Probably see him bat at number 7 or number 8. Good operator for Australia. And he starts, well, pretty woefully down the leg side, and the keeper to thank for that not being worse than it could have been. That could have been 5 wides. Instead, it will be 2 freebies to the total for Scotland.
late inclusion into the squad. Replacing the injured Spencer Johnson. Another one who's had plenty of experience in the Australian white ball setups. It's hard for some of these players because you've always got the big guns with Australian bowlers, the big three, so to speak, in Cummins, Hazelwood and Stark, who tend to come in for the big ICC competitions. They won't be around forever though.
Nicely played, gets right on top of the bounce, and Head is going to have to chase hard here. Slightly bigger down to that sort of pocket of the ground than you would think. Again, an aspect of that is the shadows that the trees are creating at the moment. But for September, early September, this is perfect cricketing weather. 16, 17 degrees, not too warm. And yeah, you're spot on. There's a changing of the guard, Mel, isn't there? I was talking to Andrew McDonald before the start of play, the head coach. He said he feels this tour, not just here in Scotland but down in England, is such a good opportunity for Australia. edged away, going to be edged for 4. And the fans getting into the action.
Australia will remember Brandon McMullen very well. He scored 60 off 35 in that match at St Lucia. It was outstanding. This time, well, it was an edge, but a hard edge. You can see there I'm talking about the bounce.
Yeah, I think it's definitely not going to be a case of Australia coming in like maybe in days prior when they came to Scotland or Ireland for what was a tour game. It was a bit of hit and giggle. From the message that Andrew McDonald is trying to get across to me is we are not underestimating Scotland, because we will have our flag lowered very quickly by them if we're not absolutely on our money from the start. He also was indicating to me that the vast majority of these Australian cricketers are 12-month of the year players now. Mullen pulls and pulls in front to square beautifully for 4. That's a lovely way to get him into double figures.
Well, you saw him make that gesture previously about the bounce, but he's absolutely judged that perfectly and picked up the length very, very quickly. He is a class player. He's Brandon McMullen.
Now, big appeal. Did he get outside the line is the question. And that is the indication. It can be the only indication, surely. It was a nip backer from Abbott. Australia were convinced. The umpire much less so.
I'll take another look. From this angle, it did nip back in. He stepped across. Gee, you can understand why they appealed so broadly.
It certainly looked more than adjacent. 3 have been bowled. It's 22 for 1.
Yeah, perhaps a little bit lucky there, McMullen, but as far as Scotland are concerned, they'll just be happy he's still out in the middle.
The umpire Ian McDonald was the one under the microscope there. It wasn't going over the top. It was lovely delivery that just nipped back in, probably off the seam. And McMullen may consider himself fortunate to survive. There's the gathered crowd. There's a combination of sun hats and beanies. You get all 4 seasons in one day up in Scotland, don't you?
I noticed all the Australians were wearing beanies and the Scotland players were warming up in caps. They're much hardier.
The biggest cheer of the day greets the first maximum. Oh, what a strike that is from George Munsey. I said he's in the form of his career. He really is. And a young fan has a moment to savour as he throws it in the Scotland shirt.
We'll get ready for a few more of those, son, because I think you might get plenty of balls out that way throughout the course of this match. But George Munsey was not going to wait long before he really took the attack back. Just picked that up.
Yeah, he's so devastating, isn't he, at the top, Munsey? And you do think of him as being a leg side dominant player, but it's not just exclusively there that he can score. And then you think of what he can do to the spinners, the full 360-degree game. He's in a happy place at the moment. He's very settled with his cricket. When he gets it right, he can win games at the top for Scotland. Just a few indications, Mel, possibly that, don't want to say too paced, but maybe the ball just coming onto the bat a little slower than some of the batters might have expected.
Yeah, just occasionally struggling to time it. So perhaps there is a little bit of variation, a bit of variable pace in this pitch. Something both sides will want to exploit with ball in hand.
Yeah, and for me, that's why it made perfect sense that Mitchell Marsh wanted to have a bowl first. You heard Richie Barrington basically say the same. Having said that, if you do get in here at the Grange, you do get good reward. And with the bowling attack that Scotland have, you think of the likes of Mark Watt. I think Jack Jarvis has been in fantastic form as well, although he's still early in his career. A lot may depend upon how those two debutants go, but to have Brad Wheel opening the bowling, that's a big boost for Scotland. The two missing today for the home side, we will see them come back in. Brad Curry, Michael Jones of Durham, they're both in action down south of the border, and Chris Soule just not quite fully fit. They'll hopefully get him back into action on Friday. There's a lot of depth all of a sudden for Scotland.
Well, I think that's something that's really developed just in the last couple of years, and not just depth but variety. Chris Soule bringing express pace, and then having, for me, one of the missing pieces is definitely Brad Curry, who'll come into it with the left armour.
Can't get it past the man. Will get us to the end of the fourth. Scotland 29 for 1. Will be pleased with this start, Mel, or are they just behind where they'd like to be?
It still feels to me like they're kind of feeling each other out a little bit. I think Scotland, they know how high scoring a ground this can be. They'd have to be targeting a pretty big figure, you would imagine, knowing that the power and the quality of the Australian side. Travis Head is arguably the form T20 and everything else batter in the world at the moment.
Yeah, certainly that fear about when Head strides to the crease opening the batting, that will be there for Scotland. Change in bowling. Riley Meredith, who by all accounts has been bowling as quick as he's ever bowled, back into the Australian side for the first time in what, about 3 years, isn't it? There are just some indications that pitch maybe not coming on as much. It's his 6th T20I, has the one ODI too, but he hasn't played since all the way back in 2021. Quite an exciting opportunity for Meredith.
Yeah, that was a tour before Australia won the T20 World Cup in the UAE, and it wasn't a good one for them. Riley Meredith a casualty of that fact.
Down the leg side now. Is this a dropped chance? We're going to find out from the umpire. They're only going to run a single, given his leg buys. Now, I think Australia might have felt as though that came off the glove. Either way, Josh Inglis not able to hold on to it, and 1 run to the total.
Now, Josh Inglis is another one who's getting a big chance in this series. Instead of Matthew Wade, that looked very close to the glove.
Well, maybe just as well Josh Inglis didn't hold on, because you may have had a very unhappy Australian camp if the decision, surely if it was given as leg buys, it would have been given not out. There's a man who is, well, the talk of Australian cricket in some ways, isn't he now? Jake Fraser-McGurk, one of the reserves alongside Matt Short for the T20 World Cup. Didn't have a great MLC, which is maybe the first kind of wobble. I was out there at Major League Cricket into its 2nd season. He actually found himself left out of the team after an amazing IL T20 and saw what he can do in the Big Bash. Munsey goes bang and gets a good piece of it. Thuds into the advertising hoardings. It's another maximum. His 2nd, Scotland's 2nd. They're just starting to get moving, starting to find the pace of the pitch.
Well, you're just talking about the Australian Big Bash. This is the Scottish version of the bat of Munsey. Nothing he loves more. So batting has developed so much. Just the way he picks it up, the quick hands. His wrists are so strong. He's strong when his spinners come on with the sweeps and reverse sweeps. But his batting has just really developed in the past few years. Strong all round the ground.
Oh, back to back. This one's even bigger. He's at his belligerent best here, George Munsey. He's never played better. And when he goes well, so too do Scotland. That's much more like it.
He just makes it look so effortless, doesn't he, when he's on? Similar to the previous one. Just fast hands through the ball, picks it up, uses the pace. That is huge. He'll love doing that today, I can tell you. He is one of the players who's been training the house down in the lead up to this match.
Well, tries to get enough of it, won't go all the way, but will be 3 consecutive boundaries as Meredith is taken to task in his second over. 5 have been bowled, Scotland on the charge, 47 for 1. Much more like it from Scotland after, well, just a few signs of difficulty in the first few overs. It was a 12-run third over and now an 18-run fifth. Maybe has just put Scotland feeling as though if they can have a big 6, they could get on top.
So Holyhead's departing early, but this is a good partnership developing between George Munsey and Brandon McMullen. Bartlett's been quite tidy, but others are leaking a few.
Another change of ends. You've seen Mitchell Marsh early rotate things around. He's got plenty of options too, doesn't he? If you look at the various ways in which he can turn. Marcus Stoinis has had a really excellent 12 to 18 months, particularly in this format. So much so, Mel, that he's now the #1 ranked T20 all-rounder in the world, going past Shakib Al Hassan. Mitchell Marsh himself probably won't bowl, but he's another option. And then those 4 overs of Zampa, the 4 overs of Rispin, will be really important to the context of this game. Right now, Munsey is loving pace on the ball. The Scottish crowd are enjoying every second of this. The 50s come up in grand style in the power play.
Well, I heard that echo from here. He has hit that so hard, absolutely thumped it. He's made use of the area square of the wickets. And as I mentioned before, he's become so strong hitting to all parts of the ground.
Might see a little bit more of that. Deliveries bowled very intentionally into the surface, almost trying to kill the pace out of the delivery. Munsey cannot believe it's not given as a wide. He thought it was well over his head. Do need to remember, Mel, don't you, that it's a very high-scoring ground. New Zealand came here for 2 T20s back in 2022. They were the last kind of, I guess what you'd call big-ticket marquee games at this venue. They did host the T20 World Cup qualifiers last summer. Thrilling contest between Ireland and Scotland there. Taken, a brilliant catch, and Australia strike back with the wicket that they needed. Munsey falls to a leaping English, and it's a big breakthrough for Sean Abbott.
Well, it's a good comeback from Sean Abbott. Munsey had just been striking sweetly. On this occasion, he bowled the ball really hard into the pitch in the previous ball. Did it again. Munsey went for it. It was only the faint edge. On this occasion, Josh Inglis took a very fine catch. Strike back for Australia. Trading blows. Munsey. It's been very entertaining, but he departs, and it's 52 for 2.
In comes the captain, Richie Berrington, #4. 300 times across all formats, 300 plus times. First man to get to that landmark in Scottish colours, quite remarkable servant to the game. He looks fitter and stronger than he ever has at the age of 37. Could be Scotland's answer to James Anderson. He might just keep going, Mel.
I like to flip it. Jimmy Anderson is the Richie Berrington of England. He does. He looks, even in the past 18 months, I feel like he looks leaner and fitter than he did before.
And he's going to get off the mark in some fashion. It's always quick, the outfield, and Meredith won't be able to cut it off. It's a boundary to end the over, but Scotland have lost both of their openers. The power play may be honours even. It's 56 for 2.
And after 6 over, Scotland have reached 56 for 2.
Wonderful pavilion, a real feature of the Grange. Beautiful blue and terracotta. And that is just picked up, not all the way by McMullen. I'm very happy to say I'm joined now in commentary by Preston Momsen for the first time today. Preston, what have you made of a power play?
Yeah, great to be here, Mel. Fantastic occasion and a really good start from Scotland, has to be said. Strong power play. How they would have loved Munsey to keep going for another 2, 3, 4 overs, get them to 10, 12 overs. That being said, he's given them a really strong platform here, and you've still got 2 very good batters, Berrington and McMullen, at the crease.
Richie Berrington has been in incredible form. The past 7 times he's played international cricket, and that includes that game against Australia, he's been not out on 5 occasions, which is quite notable, really. One of those times he was out was after scoring an 80-odd against Namibia. That is McMullen at his best. Lovely shot down the ground. He really is all class.
Yeah, this has been a notable feature from the moment McMullen has walked to the crease. Looking to get onto the front foot, very positive with his footwork. And taking the attack to the Australians. There you see it again, a front foot pill. Picking up the length very quickly. I think it is clear that wicket just not quite coming on as quickly as we might have thought.
Oh, inside out this time, but there is a fielder underneath it. And so McMullen now has to take the walk back to that pavilion. It looked good while he was there, but the Australians, they just keep coming.
2 timely wickets here for Australia. McMullen doesn't quite get all of this. It is an area of strength for him. Scotland's 3rd wicket.
McMullen departs for 19. Scotland 62 for 3. Matt Cross, the vice captain, is a new batter at the crease. See him behind the stumps later. This is where we might see Scotland's batting depth tested, Preston. 3 wickets early. They've got some batting down the lineup, but they will want Berrington and Cross to really make an impact here.
Yeah, Matthew Cross spends a lot of time at the top of the order in one-day cricket for Scotland. So coming in early won't necessarily be a bad thing for him.
And of course, we've got Michael Least to come, and often plenty of fireworks when he's about. It's the end of the 7th over. Scotland 63 for 3. Many a time have these two batted together and got Scotland out of a bit of a hole. Delighted to see these two take the score up to a really challenging level as well.
Changing over to Australia, Adam Zampa.
Time for spin. It is Adam Zampa. He's now got the ball in his hand. What a bowler he is for Australia. See there, more than 100 wickets. And he's been the leading wicket taker for Australia in a couple of World Cups. One of the first names I think you'll find put down on Australia's team sheet.
Yeah, world-class performer, and this will be a challenge for Scotland and how they deal with Zampa.
He's been up here for a little while, Adam Zampa. Of course, he was playing for the Oval Invincibles during the 100, but he's got his family over here, and he couldn't wait to get up here and get around. He loves a whiskey. He drinks a whiskey every day. You might not know that about Adam Zampa.
Every day.
Every day. Well, he's got every piece of that, Berrington. He's probably their best player of spin, and that guy, well, congratulations, sir, you are in on the action. He gets a prize. Give him a whiskey.
I said it might be a challenge, not for Richie Berrington. Just a little bit too full on this occasion. And that is a feature of Richie Berrington. Scores all around the ground, very strong sweeper of the ball, but then has the ability to go bang straight or over extra cover. It's really difficult to defend.
Yeah, I love seeing him play when he plays square of the wicket. You see him with those sweeps and slog sweeps. Then on the back foot, cuts like a dream as well. A really intelligent cricketer. This is going to be a good little contest. Just caresses that one. And a couple of runs, that's well run, good running between the wickets, and these two are quick.
Yeah, that's beautifully played from Matthew Cross. Just opens up the face of the bat there, angles it past short third man, making sure he gets 2 instead of just 1. I really like the way Scotland have approached this over here. Haven't let Adam Zampa settle into his spell. He's gone for 10 from just 5. Good that they're just keeping that scoreboard ticking, even though they've lost those 2 quick wickets in Munsey and McMullen. Chance Berrington and Cross to build here towards the back end of the innings.
Oh, just a little tickle.
Fortunate on that occasion. On the outside edge of Matthew Cross. A little bit of spin there for Zampa. Just finds his way past short third man. That is the end of the 8th. Scotland 75 for 3.
Taking the ball for Australia, Marcus.
What a picture that is. I don't know. It's probably something you take for granted, Preston, but I tell you what, for me and all the other Australians who are up here, it is a wonderful sight here in Edinburgh. Marcus Stoinis coming into the attack for the first time today. And boy, now Scotland will remember him from that match in St Lucia. It's Marcus Stoinis who got Australia out of a wee bit of trouble.
Well, they certainly will, Mel. Dreaded memories, those. But yeah, as you say, picturesque ground here, beautiful, stunning setting in the middle of Edinburgh. Also, just going back to what you were saying about Barrington, Mel, and the form that he's been in lately, that's something that's so impressive about him is he recognises when he is in that good touch and really capitalises, and it's why he's been such an inspirational leader for Scottish cricketers over the past 10 years.
Everyone who's watched him for a long time knows how good a bowler he was as well. He had half a mind to come back and start bowling again, but I think a few people might have said to him, hang on mate, we want you around with bat in hand, because he's just so important. He's one of those guys who's very softly spoken, that everybody listens when he says something. He's just got that kind of presence about him. Stoinis, though, he's in an interesting phase of his career. You feel at some point soon he's probably going to head off to the world of franchise cricket, but he's made it clear he wants to be involved in Australia's Champions Trophy campaign. The presence of Aaron Hardy perhaps in this squad, he's seen as someone who might play a Stoinis role in the future for Australia. So it is an interesting time with this, certainly with this Australian lineup. I was just even fascinated to see how they might structure the bowling attack as well as the batting lineup. See there, a look at Marcus Stoinis's figures. He's one of the more experienced in this Australian side. Well, the Australians liked it. The umpire doesn't.
Early withdrawal of the appeal there. Stoinis realises Barrington's got nothing on that. Just coming off in a part of his thigh.
Yeah, the others around there, he put his hand down, everyone else kept theirs up.
Yeah, really good over here from Stoinis. Just check Scotland's momentum. Just when Barrington and Cross looking to get going. Just 4 from 5 deliveries thus far.
Yeah, and that's the thing with we're losing Hares, Munsey, and McMullen, real power strikers. But Barrington has won once. If he gets going, he can score at a rapid rate. I mentioned the power of Michael Leask to follow as well. Nicely driven in the end. It's going to pull up though. Matt Cross he fascinates me. He is one of the fidgetiest players you can imagine, but he still, when he hits it, and he's done it there, it's 81 for 3. That's how bright it is here. bit hard to see. Glorious day here, and Preston, you'll have better idea than most people of just what having this series here means to Scottish cricket.
Yeah, it's an awesome occasion. And remarkably, just the first... Barrington misses out there. It's just the first international game of the summer. What are we, the 3rd, 4th of September? Quite remarkable that we haven't hosted any games in Edinburgh thus far. I think a symbol of how difficult it is for the likes of Scotland to play consistent competitive cricket on the international stage. And really, yeah, it must be said, fair credit to Australia for making the effort for these 3 T20 internationals.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, it was Australia who approached Cricket Scotland. It wasn't the other way around. Got a long way across there, did cross. He's very fidgety, hops around the crease so much, that cross. But they approached, obviously, that series in Ireland not being able to go ahead. Cricket Scotland more than happy to step in. He's tried to pull that one. It's ended up just almost a tennis shot down the ground.
He almost gets away with another one here. Drags down and Cross doesn't quite get hold of it. Yeah, that is the only way that Scotland can keep making their mark on international cricket. Getting more fixtures at home. What a wonderful occasion here. Sellout crowds. Great to see more countries travelling and touring.
I'd love to see England come up here again, just their nearest neighbour, of course. As we reach the halfway mark of Scotland's innings, our 84 for 3.
Halfway through the Scotland innings, the Scotland total is 84 for 3.
It is a very good point you make, though, Mel. The fact that that was the last time, 2018, and we've not seen England again.
Well, there's the state of play at the moment. Barrington and Cross rebuilding after a couple of wickets falling. Let's picked up 2. How about the 1? Down the ground. He hasn't got all of it. Tim David is coming underneath it, but he hasn't judged it. Difficult, running backwards. Couldn't quite get there in time. He had to go a long way back. And a sigh of relief for everyone at the Grange.
Well, I think he thought he had this covered. But let me tell you, the Grange is a very difficult place to field. It's very uneven in parts. Maybe that just did him there, but in the end was absolutely nowhere. Missed opportunity.
And Cameron Green, it is that ball just nipping in a little bit. I mentioned the sigh of relief. That's interesting though, catch going down as Cameron Green comes into the attack. Played a lot of T20 internationals for Australia, but fielding is certainly one area that Australia wanted to improve on from their performance at the T20 World Cup. They dropped several catches against Scotland. Overall, it wasn't a great fielding tournament.
His head does well there, cutting that off at short third. Scotland just looking for a little bit more momentum here through this middle period. Don't want to lull too much.
Well, I guess with Scotland also, they know that they've got Michael Leask in their back pocket, don't they? Kind of, it's ideal for him coming out with a few overs to just go hell for leather.
Middle order, Leask, Watt, Davidson, Jarvis. Davidson, Jarvis both play at Grange Cricket Club. This is their home ground, so know it well. Michael Leask in picture there. He'll be chomping at the bit to get out there. Loves the big stage.
Certainly does. He and Barrington game against Namibia in Barbados. Boy, oh boy, was that some innings and display of striking from both of them. Again, that one in the air, but couldn't get there in time. It's another boundary. Well, that will help push the momentum along for Scotland.
Yeah, not in full control here, Matthew Cross. It's almost like a paddle pill shot round the corner. It's uppish, but importantly for him, it's in the gap. Again, very difficult to field down there in the bottom corner. Not level at all, and something the Australians won't be used to.
Comes down the pitch and plays that one with a bit of aggression. Cross, you're going to get the single. It's been a productive over for them. 8 runs coming from it. 11 gone. It's 92-3. Really is a glorious day. Would not have asked for a better one here. And DJ's got the tunes pumping. Some very happy punters out here. Zampa to continue. How is that? Again, he has moved across his stumps a couple of times, Matt Cross. This time he does get hold of it. Himself into position to put that one away, helped around the corner.
Yeah, this is what you can expect from Matthew Cross, using his feet here to get outside the line and working it past short fine leg with a sweep shot. Very strong square of the wicket, using the angles nicely on that occasion.
Oh, you see him move outside the line again. This time plays it square up. I mentioned Adam Zampa and his whiskey every day. I think Scotland must be his dream destination. I'll tell you another fun fact. He's obsessed with finding natural bodies of water to swim in. So I reckon he's been in the locks.
I'll tell you, the Grange are looking for an overseas player.
Got hold of that one. 4 more for Barrington.
Yeah, it's dropped short again from Zampa, and this time Barrington doesn't miss out. Rocks back onto that back foot and finds a gap. Doesn't get all of it, but importantly finds the gap. Another welcome boundary for Scotland.
Yeah, I mentioned the fine form he's been in. Speaking of playing at the Grange, I believe you still have a bit of a dab here, Preston. Oh, this time it's gone straight up in the air. And it's going to be taken comfortably. On the boundary, Bartlett makes sure of it. So Barrington, it's been fine from him, but it comes to an end.
Well, this is a good catch. Flighted a bit more this time from Zampa. Juices Barrington into the stroke, and Pollard makes no mistake, steadies himself, doesn't take his eye off the ball. It's very uneven down there. Takes a good catch. Barrington has to go for a well-played 23. Scotland 101 for 4.
And new batsman for Scotland, welcome Michael Least.
Well, Michael Leask is a man who will never die wondering. Of that I am sure. Scotland's hyper dafty. And that wraps up the 12th over. Scotland now 4 down, 102 on the board.
So Scotland at 100, scored 102 for 4 after 12 overs.
Yeah, full of energy, someone you love having in the dressing room. It's always going to give you 120%, that's for sure.
He's another one who's been training the house down, Michael Leask. Really up for this contest. Yeah, talking before about cross being strong square of the wicket, Michael Leask, he has a sweet spot and it is down the ground as well. Loves to hit it in the V.
You always find he's at his best if he gives himself a chance at the top of the innings. Gives himself a few balls, gets his eye in. So we know how destructive he can be and how quickly he can catch things back up.
Well fielded by Travis Head. Mentioned fielding being a real focus for Australia. Some of the new recruits coming into the side always gives fielding teams a bit of a lift, a bit of new energy. It just feels like things are slowly grinding, I guess, for Scotland. As every time a wicket falls, it really does have an impact on the pace of their innings.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing here, is every time Scotland looks like they're going to get on the front foot and build that momentum, it's just been a wicket at a key time. Think about the Munsey-McMillan dismissal. Just when they were going together nicely, and then Barrington and Cross were going together nicely, and then Barrington And then Scotland having to rebuild again here. Just takes that energy out of the innings. They're going to have to find some more here towards the back end.
Well, as I said, Leask will not die wondering. I don't think he'll wait too long before we see him take them on. But this has been a terrific over from Meredith. It's been a bit expensive so far. This has been better, just 3 singles so far. It's a full delivery. It's dug out beautifully. It's going to be 4. Well played in the end. So over being a bit more expensive than thought, after 13 it's 109 for 4.
Well, it's beautifully poised. This first contest may not quite be the batting paradise that we're accustomed to here at the Grange. Just been a bit in it, hasn't there, for the bowlers. Andrew Leonard back in here with you now, joining Preston Momsen. Preston, firstly, great to be with you, mate. What a fantastic, a phenomenal occasion for Scottish cricket.
It really is awesome. Andrew, great to be with you again at this ground. I know you've covered some beauties here in the past. Hopefully today doesn't disappoint you.
We usually involve Irish heartbreak, so I'm an honorary Scot at this stage. I think that we share the Celtic blood, don't we, Preston? Stoinis is coming back into the attack for his second. Get a sense that this kind of surface here, Preston, is one that will suit Marcus Stoinis.
Yeah, I think that's been a theme through this Australian bowling innings, actually. Stoinis, Green, Abbott, just taking a bit of pace off the ball with those variations. It's not been that surface that has come through very quickly. So there is a little bit in there. If you can keep your variations up your sleeve and in the mix. Obviously, setting the appropriate fields too is key to that, as Marcus Stoinis makes the change.
Leask goes to the leg side, doesn't quite get it. Barely a spare seat in the house now. We're pretty close to a sellout. Friday, I think, is just a handful of tickets remaining, and Saturday, you can't get a ticket for love nor money. The work Cricket Scotland have done to put this series on at late notice, it's been quite remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah, phenomenal, I would say. Very limited resources that they have to work with. They've pulled out all the stops here for Australia, and rightly so. Really good that the Scottish cricketing community has got behind this and selling out the tickets.
What would they like to get to? They've lost the toss, they've had to have a bat first. We know it's a slightly raw Australian bowling attack. It's also a raw Scottish bowling attack. That's the general vista here. Could 170 be enough? That's the average score here.
Yeah, we touched on the average score. I don't think the average score is going to be enough today. Grounds, short boundaries here. Can be a difficult ground to defend on, particularly if you get 2 batsmen get themselves in chasing. Can become really difficult. So I think Scotland are thinking 190, 200 plus as a minimum, you would have to say, to be competitive.
I think back to those games 2 years ago. It was New Zealand that travelled for 2 T20s. In a different time of year, it was late July. I think the weather was, again, it wasn't bad in the run-up. It was good, so that the surface is probably a bit more conducive to run scoring. But New Zealand posting 225, and then 2 days later 254. It can be a paradise once you get in here. So 180 has got to be the minimum, you'd think.
Absolutely. I think your reference, though, to the weather and the build-up and the lead-up and the preparation that the ground staff would have had here is an important point. I don't think this is the absolute best wicket that we would see at the Grange.
And all these little change-up, these cutters are proving difficult to score off. They've left some grass on it on purpose, though, haven't they, to keep it together?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that the rain leading up to the game and their preparation definitely would have been affected, and that surface probably not quite as rolled as they would have liked, but it's still playing well. Seems a good wicket for T20 international cricket.
You can almost just sense the pressure building on these two Scottish batters now. Stoinis has turned into a very, very canny operator. There's a reason he's #1 in those T20 all-rounder rankings. 14 bowled, 113 for 4. His bowling has become, it's probably highly underrated, isn't he? Looks a touch innocuous, but he's very skillful.
Skillful and also intelligent. I think that's what makes a modern-day T20 bowler stand out these days. It's all good and well having these variations, but it's having the understanding of the game, when to implement what at what stage. That's something he does so well.
Maybe just a little bit of concern amongst the Scottish camp. Doug Watson there. Where is he? Somewhere in there. Mark Watt not looking too pleased. Richie Barrington already departed. Picked up into the leg side. Does he get enough of it? No, he doesn't. Picks out the man, Xavier Bartlett, who takes another catch. It's one across his go-to shots, and there's silence across the Grange as Australia have a 5th.
Yeah, Green's first. Matt Cross knew it was the time of the game in which he needed to force the pace. Tries to clear that boundary, but doesn't get enough of it. He has to go. Scotland losing their 5th wicket. Matt Cross goes for 27. Scotland 113 for 5.
Mark Watt strides to the crease, the all-rounder at #7, and they're going to need some of his innovation and his audacity to get the scoreboard moving. Scotland's innings, well, it's just grinding to a halt here in these middle overs. I think Australia have adjusted very well. A key wicket of George Munsey in the final over the power play stifled all the momentum. Leask is going to be very important here, but late order runs from Watts, and we'll probably see Jack Jarvis in at #8, Charlie Castle at #9. No Chris Greaves today, he was maybe the unlucky one to miss out.
Yeah, they probably would have been weighing that one up, but in the end maybe just the thought process, new surface, and probably thought there might be a bit more in it, and obviously Scotland wanting to bowl first if they won the toss.
Helped around the corner. Has he found the gap? Oh, well, he nearly did, but that is quite remarkable. An outstanding piece of fielding down at fine leg. And it's 3 runs saved. A big smile too from Riley Meredith.
Oh, that is brilliant work. The most difficult part of the ground on which to field, but top skill here. Just the left hand plucks it out, and then Abbott there to do the cleaning up.
No, you'll have watched all of that game in St. Lucia in June, Preston. It's fair to say Scotland were actually not just in the game, they were very much on top before Stoinis turned it around in the final 6.
Yeah, that certainly would have been heartbreaking Well, it certainly was heartbreaking for me. I can only imagine what it felt like for them. Such a good tournament all round from a Scotland perspective. Just that game against England as well, where Munsey was going at great guns. But yeah, what could have been on that occasion.
Helped around the corner. Don't think they'll get a second. The boundaries have dried up. The runs are just not flowing now. Some may have been surprised by how good Scotland were at that T20 World Cup. They'll always have to fight against the odds, but maybe robbed by the rain against England and so nearly beating Australia. Is this the best Scottish side you've seen, Preston?
I think it's certainly a complete Scotland side in terms of the variety that we now have from a bowling and batting perspective, and touched on it earlier with Mel and the depth that we have in the squad and a number of players playing around the world now.
Another change up, plenty of changes of pace now from the Australian quicks. 15 bowled, and it's 117 for 5. And that's something that, very much in contrast to your era, Preston, it's difficult for any Scottish players to get opportunities in leagues around the world. Now Watt and Munsey et al. Are very much in demand.
Yeah, I'd say that's one of the best things to happen to associate cricket, I would say, Andrew. Just the opportunities now available to players and to test themselves against some of the best in the world in these leagues. And it's great to see some of these players. Yeah, it's great to see some of these players going to these leagues and standing out. Likes of George Munsey being the leading run scorer in the global T20 in Canada recently.
He was in scintillating form in some very difficult batting conditions too there in Brampton. You get to some exotic parts of the world too. Grand Cayman then, for the first ever, I think it was a 10-over competition. That might have been 5 or 6 Scots out there. Jack Jarvis is definitely one to watch for the future too, as Zampa returns and strikes immediately. Leask felt as though he might have got outside the line. I'm not sure if he did, and David McLean has no hesitation in getting the finger up, and all of a sudden the wheels are coming off for the Scots.
Michael Leask desperate to try and force the momentum here, the back end of the innings. Looking for that sweep shot. It's full from Zampa, and it's straight. Fortunately for Michael Leask, he doesn't make contact. And he has to go for 7. Scotland 117 for 6.
Jack Jarvis.
Jack Jarvis to the crease at number 8. Scotland all of a sudden in real trouble. Don't have that security blanket of Chris Greaves that he often provides down at 7 and 8. There'd be pressure on Jarvis. Zampa's a quality operator, he really is, and at least he didn't look happy with the decision. We don't feel there's any bat involved. Did he think he might have just got outside the line potentially?
I think potentially. It's difficult to say with the limited views we have here, but it looked fairly adjacent. Yeah, good opportunity here for Jack Jarvis. Still very early on in his international career, but huge future ahead of him. One of the promising young players coming through the Scottish ranks.
These two will have spent some time together down in the 100. Watt didn't play a huge amount, which surprised me actually. I think he's such a world-class white ball bowler. He'll be wanting to get one over one of his teammates. That's one of the nice things, isn't it, about the franchise game? You kind of tend to mix with players of all the different countries, and then when you come back to your international action, you then stride out against them, and there's sort of real bragging rights on offer.
100%. Also, I have to say, I was surprised he didn't get a game as well. I thought he could have been a trump card. Other players wouldn't be used to seeing him.
Oh, where's this one gone? Oh, he's got a good piece of it. Soars all the way, maybe even over the stands. Jarvis, he's a precocious talent, isn't he? And that has brought the crowd back to life, just what Scotland needed.
Oh, it's fearless stuff from Jack Jarvis, and it's so good to see from the young lad. Zampa tosses that one up, and he doesn't need an invitation. Clears the stands. I think that one's gone out of the ground. What a start for Jarvis.
There's a few signs already. I know it's very early. I know it's just his 10th international for Scotland, but there's certainly signs that they might have uncovered a real gem here. That's with bat and ball. 16 bowled, 125 for 6. Something we saw in ICC Men's Cricket World Cup League 2, the return of that action for Scotland was, well, I suppose, a chance up in Dundee to unearth some new gems. Charlie Castle with that 7-wicket haul. Michael English, wasn't it, a 100 on debut too for the 29-year-old?
Yeah, two absolutely amazing performances, both Cassels and Michael English.
Does that speak volumes, I suppose, for the strength and the depth of the Scottish club game?
Yeah, I think Michael English has been hammering the door down for a number of years, and for him to go in and from ball one and innings one make that sort of mark was brilliant to see. I think the domestic game is in a healthy state, although with the lack of funding.
Nice straight drive. Has he beaten the man at mid-off? Not quite, but Jarvis is very quick. So he'll get back for 2. No, he won't. What turns him down? I think Jarvis wanted it, but what said no? It's Mitchell Marsh.
Yeah, sensible call in the end. Yeah, I think just with the lack of funding and resources available to Scotland at the moment, we're just losing that tier between domestic club cricket and then that step up to international cricket. I think it would be very welcome if that bridge could be gapped and there were more opportunities for the players looking to make their mark when they step up into the international ranks.
Beats him. Jarvis probably looking to guide it down to deep third. Can't get anything on it. Yeah, you do often think about that, similar in Irish cricket, as they've now ascended to test state, is something that Scotland may look to do in years to come, not looking to do immediately. But it's bridging that gap, isn't it, between the club game, finding some kind of a, they have the inter-regional series here at points, but getting a consistency to that, getting players availability. In some ways, Scotland are almost having to kind of follow a New Zealand model, a hybrid of allowing their players to go and play and earn as much as possible and develop their games overseas, and then when Scotland come into international action, trying to have them available where they can.
Yeah, and that can be challenging. Can be challenging from a coaching perspective, you can only imagine. I think something so positive as well about Scotland cricket in recent times over the last 12, 24 months has been the performance of the women's team and how much they've managed to achieve. And I think that just rounds up everything and shows how hard Scottish cricket are working behind the scenes, making sure that the right people are in the right places in the right roles.
Give people a sense, maybe watching in from overseas, as to just how big Scottish cricket is. There's a huge amount of participation in and around 200 clubs right the way across the country.
Yeah, the club scene is very strong, and witness today, a lot of people traveling to come and watch this game. So it is a popular sport, and it's a growing sport. One of the most popular sports in Scotland. You wouldn't believe it, but it is.
This is hit around the corner, but there's protection out there again. Abbott does the fielding. Yeah, the stat that always blows my mind is there's more participants, isn't there, in cricket than there is in Scottish rugby, and you think about how elite performing a side that is. But there's certainly been signs, as you said rightly, with the women qualifying for their first T20 World Cup that'll take place in the UAE, the change of venue, moved from Bangladesh. It starts next month. What the men have done, like you say, with a dearth of fixtures at times. Going to take on a quick single. Does get home safely. Reminder, we don't have the third umpire to check that. Decision not out. It's a single to close out the 17th. 130 for 6. Meredith, the fielder here, did affect the direct hit, and I think just home, Preston.
Great bit of fielding again. Jack Jarvis up to the task. Sharp run. Makes no mistake sliding the bat in.
Yeah, just one more look at this here. It was a quick call from Jarvis, which was the key. And you can see there, he's so quick, he does get home comfortably despite the direct hit. 3 overs left, 3 big ones needed for Scotland. Got to find a way to breach that 160 mark at a minimum, you'd imagine. And Mark Watt gets it up to the perfect start for the final 3. That is straight as an arrow. You cannot hit it any straighter than that. Over the heads of our cameraman. And a lost ball. Sensational from Mark Watt.
Oh, we'll take a look at the pose here from Mark Watt. Oh, he loves it. He knows the minute it leaves the bat, that's a big one. Straight over the side screen. And what a strike.
Preston, did he enjoy that one?
Oh, he loved that. That's the new screensaver there, Mark Watt.
I do love a bit of golf up here. As you know, the home of golf in Scotland. And that was, well, bombed what, 340 yards down the middle with the driver.
It's probably the straightest he's ever hit a golf ball, if it was.
Tell us about his batting, though, because it's very much an underrated asset that he has. Everyone knows how skillful he is as a bowler, but he adds a lot of impetus down the order.
Yeah, he's just a very skillful cricketer. Nice and still, gets right to the pitch of it. Just unleashes those arms through the line of the ball. But yeah, he is a phenomenal striker. I'd love to see him giving even more with the bat in Scottish colours. Himself up the order. I know he's desperate to. Works very hard at his game.
He does allow that flexibility of having 4 bowlers beneath him if he bats at 7. Short ball, another one into the surface, and I've seen a lot of this from Australia. What are they trying to do when they kind of bang it into the pitch as opposed to floating it up?
Yeah, just keeping the batter honest there. Getting Mark Watt back in his crease. Just playing with the rhythm of his batting. Clever bowling. And we're seeing that extra bounce there. If they are getting that grip in the surface, it's just holding up and getting to a height where it's really difficult to get any power in the shot.
Goes for the Yorker this time. Good skills from Abbott. You think about the quality that Australia possess at the top of the order here, Preston, the X factor of Jake Fraser-McGurk, probably no better player in the world across the 3 formats than Travis Head in the last 24 months or so. 6-hitting ability of Mitchell Marsh and Tim David and Marcus Stoinis. Scotland are going to have to bowl really well, aren't they? Even if they can breach that sort of 165 marker. I imagine it's going to take an exceptional performance to get them into the contest.
Yeah, there's no question that's going to be a challenge defending on this pitch and on this outfield as well, with these relatively small boundaries in international cricketing terms. And it's going to be a challenge for Richie Berrington and how he manages his bowlers. I think his bowling changes are going to be key here, and his use of spin as well. I'm sure we'd likely to see spin within the power play and then mixed up through the middle overs and even towards the back end.
Another cutter, and it's dragged to the leg side and picked out the man. Very clever from Abbott. He's outthought Jarvis there by taking all the pace off, and all Jarvis could do was drag it to long on. Another one goes.
Another cutter into the surface does the job here. Jarvis just threw the shot a little too early, back deep in his crease. It's also the width there, making Jarvis drag it across. No mistake in the outfield. Aaron Green in the outfield makes no mistake. Jack Jarvis has to depart. He goes for 10, Scotland 139 for 7.
For Scotland, please welcome everybody, Charlie Castle.
Well, what a day for this man, Charlie Castle. See him with the ball in hand later, but now he's got a job to do with the bats. Beaten immediately by a Yorker. That will close out the 18th, 139 for 7 the score. Quite remarkable story, wasn't it? Last month, Charlie Castle in for his T20I debut, so no numbers next to his name yet. 7 for 21. I was there, Preston. It was, well, a ludicrous spell, really.
You can tell us all about it. I wasn't there. I was watching on Cricket Info, but couldn't believe it when they kept flying.
Triple wicket maiden, would you believe, to start things.
Yeah, I mean, remarkable. What a debut. And straight down to Somerset from that, so fair play to him. And great for Scottish cricket that another player is playing down south in county cricket.
I don't think he could quite believe it. He was on his home ground. His girlfriend was there. All of his teammates were in and around, and the best figures in the history of 4,800 ODIs belong to the man at the non-striker's end. What whips this to the leg side. Castle may be able to get back for 2 because of the fumble. That's a little sloppy from the man who's just taken the catch, Cameron Green. It's a long way down from, what is he, 6'7", something like that.
It's nicely played from Mark Watt. Just that fumble allows him to come back for that too. Yeah, Charlie Castle's 7 for 22. I'm not sure where you go from there.
There's 2 ways to look at it, isn't there? The only way is down, or maybe it's the start of a long and very promising international career. Very likeable guy too. As Watt hits it straight to Marcus Stoinis, who takes a good catch. Stoinis hanging on the edge of the circle, as he often do in the last few overs. I think Watt's going to be disappointed. It was into the slot, but all he could do was give a T20I wicket on comeback to Riley Meredith.
Yeah, with mid-off and extra cover up in the ring, this was actually the right shot, the right option. It's just the execution here that's let him down. A couple meters over that and it's forward, races away. Marquardt will be disappointed with that, as will Scotland. Marquardt departs, goes for 16, Scotland 141 for 8.
New batsman for Scotland, Jasper Davidson.
Second of the 2 T20I debutants for Scotland today. Jasper Davidson has played a couple of ODIs. That was last month, or well, 6 weeks ago now, in Dundee. He starts with a bit of innovation, giving himself some room outside the leg stump to work it away for a first T20I run. For Scotland, still obviously plenty of cricket to play here today and throughout the series, and maybe if they can get to 160 they can make a game of it, but they're not going to be happy with their position, Preston. Where's it kind of gone wrong in this second half of the innings?
Yeah, I think looking back, and if they analyse their dismissals, they'll be very disappointed with where they find themselves at the moment. I think key batters have in a sense, given their wicket away and given Australia the chance to get back into the game.
It's not really Charlie Castle and Jasper Davidson's job with the bat, is it? They'll try their best in these last couple of overs, but from a position of 101 for 3 in the 12th over with Richie Berrington at the crease, he had that bit of fortune with the drop chance as well. You'd imagine that Scotland would have been thinking of 170, 180, if not 190. Instead, they've really tailed away, haven't been able to find any momentum. Might be doing well to get to 160 from here. That's pretty sharp. Meredith has been bowling as quick as he's ever bowled, apparently, down in Somerset.
Yeah, that's a welcome to the wicket, Jasper Davidson. Yeah, I think your point's bang on. George Munsey, 28, Brendan McMullen, 19, Berrington, 23, Matthew Cross, 27, Mark Watt, 16. So there's a lot of starts there, and that's something they'll be disappointed with. We talk about in T20 cricket, someone trying to go on and get 70, 80, and you're getting your 180 plus scores to get you into commanding positions.
Yeah, that's really what they did so well in St. Lucia at that T20 World Cup. Could have even got a few more. 1 over remains. It's 144 for 8. What Scotland will do is scrap and fight hard with the ball. They'll field well. They're very well drilled by Doug Watson, their head coach. But that paints the picture perfectly there, Preston, doesn't it? A nice surge in the power play, and then the momentum just never got going again.
Yeah, just too many white dots too frequently there. No real partnerships to talk about.
As a consequence, despite what is, well, very, very close, it might actually be a capacity crowd. Now I can't see a single seat around the ground that's empty. There's plenty just standing, aren't there, around the boundary enjoying the sunshine. As a consequence, all of those fans have just been eerily silent, as it'll be Sean Abbott to bowl the 20th. Gets away with a full toss that was there to be hit. Now, Castle can bat, can't he? He bats up the order for his club, Forfarshire, in Dundee. Can he get a couple over the rope here?
Yeah, Scotland are going to need him to. Yeah, genuine all-rounder, domestic cricket. Scored hundreds. Yeah, Jasper Davidson to his home ground here, plays at the Grange.
This goes absolutely nowhere. It's going to be Mitchell Marsh who will get there. Didn't look too likely at first. He was waiting for someone else to call it, but he's ended up getting the hard yards in and getting his hands underneath it. Charlie Castle can only scoop it up. He's the latest to fall. Scotland, well, folding away rather tamely here towards the tail of this innings.
Yeah, possibly a miscommunication here with Stoinis and Marsh. Makes no mistake, again going into the surface with the cutter. Good commitment from the skipper, he makes no mistake. Sells has to go on his T20 debut, goes for 1. Scotland 145 for 9.
Batsman Brad Wheeler.
Just the number 11 left in the hutch, and here he comes to the middle, Brad Wheel. And they're going to be bonus runs. And some cheers finally around the Grange. It's been a little while. An inside edge gets them to 149. Every run may count yet. They'll take them however they come, Scotland.
Oh, they certainly will. That's a very welcome boundary for Brad Wheel. Oh, that misses. Just gets enough on it.
Another cutter chipped up in the air to the vacant point region. They're going to take on the second and they'll get home. Australia, the bowlers have assessed the conditions really well. There's some cheers for 150 coming up going around the ground. They varied their pace nicely. They bowled plenty into the surface. Scotland will need to learn from that quickly, particularly if the ball doesn't move in the first couple of overs in the chase.
You have adapted really well. We've seen that the way the bowlers have come back for their second and third spells and the changes they've made and implemented. There we see it again.
Good running again. We get 2 more. I might think of a third, but no, the backing up is okay. And a deep point. Nice little, just tiny piece of momentum coming in. 8 from 3 deliveries from Wheel. It's nowhere near what they would have wanted, but they'll have something on the board to try and defend. Final delivery of the innings is going to be a scampered by despite the direct hit from Inglis. 2 umpires have a look at each other. They're happy with the height of that, and it will be an extra to the total to round out the first innings. Scotland will have to be satisfied. They'll certainly be no more than that with 154 for 9 from their 20 overs. It's been beautiful sunny conditions here at the Grange. The home crowd who were in great voice early when Munsey was going at the top in particular. He made 28 off 16. There's contributions throughout the innings from McMullen, Berrington, Cross and Mark Watt, but nothing of any real significance. And a disciplined, very effective bowling performance from Australia has restricted the hosts to 154 from their 20 overs. Just the 6 extras, Preston, and only 3 wides in there. You have to give great credit to Australia. You'd expect nothing less from them to be well drilled by an Andrew McDonald coach side. They really were very good through those 20 overs.
Well, they certainly were. I think Scotland, looking back, got off to a great start, actually, a really positive power play. I think the skill and the way Australian bowlers adapted to the conditions coming back later on in the innings.
Rounds of the Grange Club here in Edinburgh. We are here for the first game of this historic series between Scotland and Australia. Andrew Leonard here. I've got the thoughts and voices of Preston Mompson and Mel Farrell alongside me. Start with you, Preston, if I can, as the ground staff go about their work. It was, well, an innings that promised much at first, but are you a little disappointed with how tamely it fell away?
Yeah, I think very disappointed, and I think the dressing room at the moment will be a bit mellow as well. I think they know they've left quite a few runs out there given the start that they had. Munsey and McMullen were going great guns and had a fantastic power play actually, and they had a lot of momentum in that innings. Unfortunately, from their perspective, just losing key wickets at key times was a theme through that innings, and really stumbled towards the back end.
154 they're going to have to be satisfied with. They've got Mel Farrell. Mel, from the Australian end, it's kind of a new era for them, isn't it? It feels like they're very much building towards that next T20 World Cup in India and Sri Lanka. Andrew McDonald will be really happy with what his young fast bowler showed in particular.
That none of them have played here before. Their ability to assess the situations really quickly. We saw a lot of pace-off, cutters being used. They just bowled really well to the conditions, and every time Scotland came to them, they thought of a way to actually come back, kind of outthought them a few times, I think, there, and that'll be really pleasing for them, because this is a real chance for a lot of these young players to really make their mark and push for selection further down the track as well, even when the big guns are available.
Preston, let's get a look at the 9 wickets that fell, if we can here. The way Ollie Hares plays up top, he's always going to go at it. He once again failed against big opposition, looking to have a big heave down the ground. Was the key wicket the next one, though, that of George Munsey?
Yeah, it certainly was. We see Hares going again, just onto him too quickly there. They did ruffle him up with a few short ones early on as well, so maybe just holding back a bit in terms of his weights, and this is the key wicket of Munsey. He was really going for it, but he was in that mode where he was just timing things beautifully, so you can't really have a go at him for going after that, just given how well he was seeing the ball.
Yeah, you could see the reaction, couldn't you, as well, that Sean Abbott clearly knew it was the big wicket. This was one for Xavier Bartlett. It was a stroke that Brandon McMullen loves, Mel. He loves going inside out over extra. He just got it a bit squarer than he would have liked.
Yeah, again, just the comeback from the bowlers as well. He just couldn't quite place it for Bartlett. That, again, the contest and coming back into it for a young bowler like him. Experience of Zampa, though.
Yeah, and this experience, this was another critical wicket, wasn't it? Because Barrington had a life, and you thought that was a very well-judged catch down in that corner of the ground, Preston.
Yeah, and brave from Zampa, really tossing it up to Barrington after being hit over his head for 6 in the over before that. So great work again. It was difficult fielding conditions down there, but that was another wicket at a key time, and it just stumbled the momentum for Scotland.
This was the 5th to go, that of Matthew Cross, who did get a start, 27 off 21, 3 boundaries in there for him, but he picked out Bartlett out at deep backward square. Another good catch that was judged. Next of all then, Mel, was Michael Leask, who didn't seem overly pleased with this decision, but he never is.
No, that's definitely something right. He never is pleased with getting out. Might have thought that he got outside the line. See, really was questioning that, but Zampa successful.
Preston, what we've seen in lots of the dismissals from the quicks now is those slower balls, off-cutters, pace-off seems to be proving very effective.
Yeah, and all the bowlers coming back for their second and third changes, really committing to their variations. Also key there was the line, outside, wide outside the off stump, forcing Jarvis to drag it across.
It's a good catch held by Stoinis. That was Mark Watts, who was very comfortably taken, and then the 9th and final wicket to go was that of Charlie Castle. What a day it is for him. He's got those Australian links and spent a lot of time living down there. Another one that fell to an off-cutter. As the Australian bowling performance, well, it was just really, really effective, I have to say. So that's the 9 wickets that have fallen. Marsh was the one who took a tumbling catch. It's also going to give us an opportunity just to leave you for about 2 more minutes, but don't go anywhere altogether too
Please welcome back the Scotland and Australia players as we continue this T20 International here at the Grange. A reminder that the Grange is a no smoking venue. No smoking or vapes permitted in the ground. Australia, a 155. Come on, Scotland!
Well, here we go. What a big moment for this young man, Jake Fraser McGurk. He is been the talk of the Australian cricketing community over the last 7 or 8 months. He's burst onto the scene in a big way. Connection with David Warner sent him out to the T20 after some good Big Bash performances. Still just 22 years of age. Man born in Box Hill in Victoria. He'll be opening the batting alongside Travis Head, the 30-year-old left-hander who has been, well, in prolific form across all 3 formats and very consistent at the top of the order, closing in towards 1,000 T20I runs. And look at that strike rate, up and around 150. Won't need much more than that for Australia to make maybe some light work of this chase. They'll need about 7.5 and over, a little bit more than that. 155 is the target, and it looks like it's going to be Brandon McMullen to get things going with the new ball, possibly Brad Wheel from the other end, you'd imagine. Andrew Leonard here alongside Mel Farrell. And great to be with you in the sunshine. It's not overly warm despite how glorious it looks, and Scotland are going to need to be at their absolute best here, Mel. Wasn't an innings that necessarily Scotland will be overly pleased with, but they've got something on the board.
They do. I'm actually quite fascinated to see that McMullen is opening the bowling for Scotland. He didn't bowl for them during the T20 World Cup in the Caribbean. He was fully fit, but sort of said he wasn't really required. Tends to bowl more in ODIs.
Now, was this the chance? Try and get another look at that. Cross up to the stumps. This is something that works so effectively in the ODI series you and I were there for in Dundee. Get it to move around, to nibble about. Was there something on this? Oh, no, there wasn't. It was a great take, in fact.
Well, and Matt Cross is always outstanding.
This goes a long way up. Mid-wicket goes back. Charlie Castle. He holds on. And Scotland, they strike early, and Fraser McGurk on his T20I debut, he's got to go for a 3rd ball duck.
Wow, what a moment that is. Disappointing for Fraser McGurk. But perhaps feeling the pressure, that previous ball, crosser to the stumps behind the wicket, increasing the pressure, just gets right underneath that one. Charlie Castle, well, he held his nerve. That ball was in the air for an age. And the ploy has worked for Scotland. They strike early. Fraser McGurk departs for a duck. And it's 1 for none.
Mitchell Marsh to the crease, the captain of Australia. Well, Mel Farrell just said it's 1 for none.
Yeah, this is going out to Australia. I'm reverting.
You've drifted back, have you?
I'm reverting to my.
It's none for one, Mel. Come on.
Look, just because the rest of the world gets it wrong and Australia does it right.
You've shown your true colours here. Still only the first afternoon. Out they come. Well, what a master stroke, you've got to say, from Richie Barrington. As you said, horses for courses, not used. I do know he had a bit of a niggle at points with his bowling. Early blow for Scotland. And so nearly 2 in the over and 2 and 2. Instead, it just squirts away. It was a nothing shot from Mitchell Marsh, expecting the ball to come on much quicker than it did. And it runs away for the first boundary of the chase. Marsh off the mark, but in fortuitous style.
I'm not sure that Australia come up against this very often, though, where they have up to the stumps someone like Matt Cross. It's something that Scotland do a lot, with the likes of McMullen having Cross up there. You see, again, just having a bit of a look at it, of course, it just means that aggressive batters, they're suddenly unable to move down the crease, come out of their crease, because they're very conscious of the fact that Matt Cross is there hovering. You do see it a bit in associate cricket, but especially with Scotland. It's a real cross speciality with some of the Scotland bowlers.
Great take, exceptional glove work, and that's 4 runs saved. Yeah, and look, it's playing to your strengths. It's understanding your home conditions. I think he opened the bowling in all 4 of those ODIs against Oman and Namibia and Dundee in July. He took wickets in all of them. At points, he looked close to unplayable. He can swing it a long way in both directions.
Yeah, there are times when he looks like he has it on a string. He's just such a brilliant all-round cricketer, McMullen.
So it's going to be 5 runs from the opening over. It was very nearly 2 wickets, but Scotland, they have won. Australia, 5 for 1.
Well, when you're defending a small target, or smallish target, then nothing better than taking a wicket early, especially to get the youngster on debut. Great take by Charlie Castle.
Been a lot of pressure on this catch, there's no doubt about that. There's a good indication there on that final replay you saw as McMullen almost gives the Dennis Taylor finger wag saying, "I told you so," just to the undulations that you have in the outfield. There's a little bit of kind of Lords to it, isn't there? It's almost the Lords of Scotland. The outfield it's not hilly in one direction, it's just some undulations in one way and another. As Brad Wheel will get things going from the far end. You saw just in the break, you saw Richie Barrington bring his squad together, very clearly trying to get across the message to his team that he feels Scotland are still in this contest. They don't have as many as they'd like, they don't have as many maybe as they should have got, but with that early blow, you just never know.
It's just going to be interesting to see how much these opening bowlers, how much swing they're able to get as well. Can hoop around in the early overs here.
Last thing you want to do is give Travis Head width though, because he'll pounce on that. Well fielded with 1 bounce in the crowd. You cannot allow him to free his arms. That's a stylish stroke to get off the mark.
Yeah, and that is a danger with these 2 in particular, Head and Marsh. 2 are the most experienced. Just too much width. He'll be onto anything like that very, very quickly, Travis Head.
Driven at a catchable height, but Barrington can't get anything on it, and it races to the rope. Back-to-back boundaries, Fuller this time. Barrington was just a little straighter, it might have been half a chance, but it went so quickly, he couldn't get anything on it.
Yeah, just a few little heart-stop moments for Australia early on. The longer these 2 are in the middle, I feel like the more dangerous they get.
It's the outside edge this time. There's almost a risk-reward, isn't there, with the new ball for the Scottish bowlers. We've seen what had success for Australia in the first innings was the quicks out of the power play, taking the pace off, bowling the ball into the surface here. But you'd suspect that probably the encouragement from the captain is, we've got to slip in place. To win this game, we've got to take probably 3 wickets in the power play, including they've got to see the back of Travis Head. So slip in place, deep third 2. Also deep backward square, 2 men outside the circle. Problem is, Head pounces on width. Almost an action replay from a few balls prior, 4 more.
Well, that's it. You mentioned they've got the slip in play, but with the slip in play, the margin for error just gives Travis Head all the width he needs. He'll put those away all day.
It's only a fraction wide, isn't it? It's probably no more than, what, a fifth, maybe a sixth stump line outside the off stump. I think you have to be very, very tight with your lines, not allow Travis Head to free his arms. So as a consequence, Wheel will come round the wicket. And that's the change of field. Deep third had just come up and deep backward point had gone back. It's a 13 run over, all belonging to Travis Head. 18 for 1. Difficult here for Scotland, Mel, with two men very early in their international career in terms of Castle and Davidson on their T20I debuts. Tall task for them.
Well, it is. They both had incredible ODI debuts. Let's not forget Jasper Davidson taking 4 wickets, Charlie Castle taking 7. They're going to need to be in that kind of form.
You feel as though Richie Barrington's probably trying to captain those two debutants a little tenderly by not giving them the new ball here, maybe trying to get through 2 or even in a dream scenario 3 with McMullen at one end. Can see Mark Watt bowl in the power play. He could bowl overs 5 or 6, so there's the option of Michael Leask to the left-handed Head too, which might not be a bad matchup. Edged away, no slip in place for McMullen.
It's actually interesting for Australia. One of the things that they've lost now with David Warner, of course, along with his talent, is a left-hander, another left-hander up the top. Also Matthew Wade not in here. So Travis Head now, the only left-handed batter in this lineup.
Cut away and it finds the gap. There's almost an eerie silence, isn't there, every time Australia hit a boundary, but this is a fine stroke. Only a fraction wide, but Head, he's so good square of the wicket. He has profited already 3 or 4 times there.
Well, I just don't know if there's anyone in better form than Travis Head at the moment. It just makes it look so easy. It's almost like the Grange isn't big enough to contain him.
Big blow towards the leg side. Now there is a man out there, but it's over his head. And it goes all the way for 6. He's so dangerous. This was maybe just for half a moment the thought of a chance, but it thuds straight into, I think that's the Gray Nichols tent with George Munsey on the front. Back-to-back boundaries.
Well, I just talked about the Grange not being big enough to contain him, and on this occasion it wasn't. Well done out there. Watch yourself if you're out there in the crowd.
This is out this time. Yeah, they've gone with a split field now, so the man at deep point has gone out, mid-on's come up into the circle, and deep mid-wicket's the other. It's such a difficult time to protect. Australia wanting to take advantage. They're taking advantage through Head. That required run rate isn't a threat unless wickets come into play. Because mid-on has come up into the circle, he'll club you down the ground. This is a batting exhibition from Travis Head. He's putting on a show here in Edinburgh.
He is, and he looks like he's only just starting to get wound up as well. This is the problem. Whatever you do to try and contain him just leaves an open spot somewhere else. He's so good in this case. Saw the fielder come up, just targeted that area.
Now flicks it away to the leg side. Oh, this is quite brilliant. It's 20 from the over, and it may well have been held in the crowd to go with it. 3 have been bowled. Australia, they are flying. 38 for 1.
Yeah, this is always the danger. The only way Scotland have got a chance of defending is if they get rid of that man. We've still got a lot more to go, but if Travis Head stays out there, there's every chance this could end reasonably quickly. They've got to find a way to stop these flow of runs from Head.
Well, Charlie Castle, maybe time just to pinch yourself to realise this is true. What a moment it is for you. Unheralded, unheard of, potentially outside of Scottish cricket as recently as 8 weeks ago. And then a household name after that remarkable ODI debut. Now he comes on to T20I debut for a first bowl against Australia. And he's driven ever so elegantly. Not too much wrong with the delivery, but the perfect cover drive. Marsh now joining the party.
Yeah, it's not quite like his first delivery in ODI cricket, where he took a wicket against Oman, and then his second delivery, he took another. Triple wicket maiden first up. It was there, but on this occasion, Mitch Marsh just plays the textbook one there.
Yeah, I think Australia have clearly recognised that they're naturally aggressive players, these two anyway, but they've recognised by far the easiest time to bat in this chase is going to be the power play. When the ball is hard, when only 2 fielders are allowed outside the 30-yard circle. And really, Scotland haven't reacted or adapted yet, have they? They're in danger of being blitzed away right now.
Yeah, you can see now the Brains Trust coming together for a little bit of a discussion. I think they're just on the back foot at the moment. Australia keep them there. The only way they've got a chance of getting back into this is taking, well, not just 1 or 2, but a swag of wickets. But Australia, you can't imagine them collapsing. They're not a side that collapses very often.
Pulled and pulled powerfully. We're seeing something quite brilliant here from Travis Head. He's on an absolute heater. He's flown to 37 off 13, and it doesn't really matter the length of the line right now. Everything must go.
It's just wherever he wants it. Quick hands, but the power as well. He did well there with beer in hand.
That's to change here for Scotland. They've got to take the pace off. They've got to look at some variations. Pace is on. It's looking very easy. A rare play and miss this time for Head. You can see there is some inconsistency in the bounce in terms of whether it's stopping in the surface or not. Scotland haven't really, outside of that early blow, been able to show that.
Especially, they do have a bit of inexperience in their bowling lineup. And this is huge for Castle.
Monstrous. Smoked all the way. Going to be 6 more. And Head is flying towards 50. The crone is because it's put down in the crowd. We're witnessing a clinic of the highest quality from Travis Head.
Yep, when Travis Head is on one, he's on one. You just look at the different parts of the grounds he's targeted. It's almost like stick cricket, isn't it? He just picks a spot and goes.
And the 50s come up inside 4 overs, and you can add to that, it's going to be 4 more. And Head goes to 47. Australia in cruise control. It's 57 for 1. Well, there's maybe just a few fears here for Scotland that this could end quite quickly. Something has to change for them.
Well, and you just wonder where they go as well. Don't seem to have necessarily taken as much pace off as Scotland did, perhaps, but then it's pretty hard trying to contain these no matter what you do.
And for all the talk of kind of a new generation, a new era for Scottish cricket, for Australian cricket, with the bowlers being very inexperienced, very raw, the batting lineup has a familiar and settled look to it, with the exception of David Warner, who's now retired, and Glenn Maxwell is not here for this tour. Everyone else, it's the regular high-quality names you'd expect for Australia. Probably no better player really in the world cross formats than Travis Head. Jack Jarvis will be the change in bowling. And that has gone miles. Look out in the tennis courts, it might just have soared into them. Back of a length. And Mitchell Marsh, one of his favourite strokes, smokes it away for 6.
I thought there might be a few in the tennis courts today, and it's no surprise to see it's Mitch Marsh sending them over there as well. Chastening moment first up for Jarvis. He's not even breaking out sweat, Mitch Marsh.
All of a sudden, Scotland, well, they look a bit shell-shocked, don't they, understandably. 15 per over they're going at. There's always been a tradition here of the pitch getting better and better to bat on throughout the day, and really what you think of the 5 or 6 days of weather ahead of this first T20I. 4 or 5 days of that, it rained heavily, there was fog, there was all sorts of inclement weather. The pitch has been kind of hidden away. The ground staff have done a fantastic job of pulling it together. As a consequence, probably didn't get the scale of work into it that they would have liked. So it stopped throughout the first innings. Now it's looking to get better and better. It's looking a bit men against boys here from Australia. Outclassing the hosts right now. Can Scotland find something? Not where you want to bowl to Mitchell Marsh. Going to be back-to-back sixes. That is absolutely massive. It's out of the entire venue.
Well, Jack Jarvis is a really bright prospect for Scotland. He's going to learn a few things today, but on that occasion, he's probably going to learn not to let it sit up just perfectly for Mitch Marsh. Just helped it on its way.
Well, that is an absolute barnstorming stroke, and Jarvis, where's he going to turn here? What's he going to try and do? Deep mid-wicket goes out, as does deep backward square. Everyone now up on the offside. Driven through the covers. Well, this is quite remarkable. 6-6-4 to start the over. Marsh getting into the act in a big way with Travis Head. And there's silence across the Grange.
Well, there might be silence, no doubt disappointment, but hopefully the Scotland fans just can appreciate the sheer class of this Australian pair, Marsh and Head, because they're really putting on a display.
More runs, and it may well be 6. Yes, it's going to soar all the way. Marsh is such a powerful ball striker. Well, Jarvis has avoided the ignominy of a potential 6 sixes. This could be 30 plus off the over if Marsh keeps going.
Well, they're not showing any signs of slowing down, and just the Grange suddenly looks so much smaller when Travis Head and Mitch Marsh are going the way they are.
Have to change the pace of the deliveries here, Scotland, surely. Instead bowls it into the surface. It's pulled so powerfully, it splits the 2 men in the deep. It won't be 6 more, but it will be 4 more. This over still has a ball to go. It's gone for 26.
Again, that one just sitting up nicely for Marsh. He didn't have to over muscle it, just timed it. That was a perfect height. They need to sort out their lengths pretty quickly.
It's going to be 4 more. You won't believe it. He split the same gap again. McMullen can't cut it off. 30 from the over. Australia immaculate. Scotland being blitzed away. It's 87 for 1. Well, a few fears here for the Scottish fans. They came into this with absolute optimism given the contest that these two played out, the enthralling contest in St. Lucia. One stage in that game, Australia nearly needed 14 per over. Here, it looks as though they're going to get it done, well, in rapid time. We thought it was well under par. We thought they needed 180, 200. I don't think 180 or 200 would be enough the way Australia have started here. Brad Wheel to bowl 6th and final. And the runs just keep coming. And there's a world record that could well fall here. 100's only been gone past in the power play once in history. That was 102. As Travis Head, he goes to 50, 17 balls it's taken.
And that is absolutely remarkable batting from Travis Head. He continues a brilliant run that he's been on in the past couple of years, but boy, today.
And now it's going to be more runs. And this might go all the way at 6 more. Well, they're being blitzed away here, Scotland. Travis Head has just made the fastest ever T20I 50 by an Australian, joint fastest to go with the 17-ball effort by Marcus Stoinis against Sri Lanka. Sensational, awesome hitting.
Well, it is, and just look at his reaction after that shot. It's just too easy for him at the moment, and Scotland have got no answer to the power of Travis Head.
Just over the head of the man. George Munsey, I think it is, at mid-off, and the 100 has come up inside the power play. It's the second time in the history of T20I cricket that it's happened, and right now, Australia on the brink of a world record.
I can't see how anything can stop them at the moment. This is just brutal from Australia.
Oh, now fortune going their way, and with it goes the world record. Australia have just posted the highest power play in the history of T20 international cricket. It goes past South Africa's 102 that came last year at Supersport Park in Centurion. This has been quite awesome, quite incredible, and quite brilliant from Travis Head and Mitchell Marsh.
Well, I was about to say flawless from Travis Head. Perhaps it was a little flaw there, but boy, oh boy, when you're on such a run, even luck bends to your will. And it does for Travis Head. It's just unstoppable.
Everywhere the ball goes, it's just going to the rope. And they're making it look so easy, these two. Hitting the ball with reckless abandon. Scotland, they don't know where to turn, they don't know where to look. They look shell-shocked, and rightly so. The run rate's close to 19.
Well, that time angling the ball across, but it doesn't matter whether they're trying to dry it up, they're trying to discomfort him, whatever they're trying to do, wherever they're bowling it, he's so in now. And it's just hard to see how they get him out.
Well, the world record will fittingly complete with a boundary. Nobody has ever made that many in a power play, and Travis Head has been the driving force behind it with 6 bowled. It's 113 for 1.
That's it, 6 overs. With 8 fours and 3 sixes, we've just witnessed the highest power play in the history of T20 cricket.
Well, what are we witnessing here? We're witnessing awesome power, high quality batting, and world-class brilliance from Travis Head. The Australian fans in the crowd, they're outnumbered by a distance, but they're loving it. And Australia, well, they are cantering here. Remarkably, they need only 42 more for victory. Remember, this is a side that were pushed all the way less than 3 months ago in St. Lucia. Mark Watt is now turned to bowl the 7th over. And he may well have picked up a wicket from his first ball. Pace comes off and everything changes. Michael Lease takes a very good catch, and as I welcome Preston Mumpson to the box, finally some relief for Scotland to end Well, an outstanding, sensational second wicket partnership.
What a partnership that was, absolutely rocking the place at the Grange here. And Mark Watt is the man for the dismissal. Slows it up slightly. The man at long off makes no mistake. Mitchell Marsh, the skipper, has to go on for 39, just 12 deliveries. Australia 113 for 2.
Well, quite remarkable, a world record we've seen broken here in Scotland. It's known as a bit of a batter's paradise. Can't think of too many quicker century partnerships as well. We'll have to leave the statisticians to their work there. They put on 113, well, in a matter of moments really, wasn't it?
Yeah, and just looking back at that power play, obviously Scotland a bit shell-shocked, but you do wonder, given what we saw in the first innings, the way the ball was gripping with Australia's seamers, maybe Scotland could have gone earlier to spin and try and dry up that Australian strike rate.
Now, this is going to be fascinating because the batter's claiming he wasn't ready. Mark Watt, he bowls these 24, 25-yarders. And I think we're going to see this be allowed. Saying to the batter, you need to be ready. Inglis has pulled away saying he wasn't ready. Get one more look. I wasn't really ready either, Preston. Catching everyone unawares.
Well, he's definitely looking up at Mark Watt.
I think that should be out. I'll tell you that much. I think that should be out. It's been given as a dead ball, isn't it? Because it's bowled him. Real moment of controversy there. It's not going to change the result of the match. But why is that ball not being allowed to stand? The batter's never actually pulled away. And it's clipped the top of leg stump. Surely Mark Watt should have had 2 and 2 balls.
I don't disagree with anything you're saying there. Batsman was definitely looking up as he released the ball.
I think for me it's cut and dry. I think that should be out. We'll get one more look at it after this ball if we can. And maybe because of the game and the state of where it's at, Scotland are highly unlikely to come back into it. But he's clearly looked up. He might not be fully ready, but when the ball is delivered, which is from in front of the umpire, he's then pulled away. Now, Preston Mompson, why is that not out?
Yeah, I don't have an answer for you. And I just wonder, is there a slight brain freeze from the batter there? Just the unexpected nature of the delivery coming from 23, 24 yards. Very lucky man to still be there.
Well, I think we're going to see this one maybe blow up a little on social media because it's a really fascinating one, isn't it? With where the game is at, it's not going to matter. We're not saying if the dismissal is given that Scotland are going to win this game. They've been blitzed away by a Travis Head masterclass. Inglis, he was in position. He may not have been ready in terms of his own processes, but he was clearly looking at Mark Watt. He was probably expecting him to take 3 or 4 more steps, which he didn't. Now this one's been hiked away and hiked all the way. It's a slog sweep right into his hitting arc. It's 6 more. Travis Head zoning in on what would be a remarkable 100 here.
Oh, he is certainly in the mood here at the Grange. It's not a terrible ball from Mark Watt, but he gets into position so quickly, down low on one knee. Timing, as he's done all innings, everything straight out the middle.
Another lost ball is called for. Well, we all know how good Travis Head is. He's shown that in the World Test Championship final. He's shown it in the ICC Men's Cricket World Cup final to silence a few more than the 3,000 or 4,000 we have here. But that strike rate, I don't think I've seen that before over such an elongated period. 333. He's scoring at a supersonic speed. It's been an exhibition here at the Grange. He's going to try and keep going, but there's a man there, and it's held. Well taken by Michael Leask again. He maybe should have had 2 in 2 balls, but Mark Watt has got 2 in the over, and it ends the pyrotechnics of Travis Head. A terrific innings of the highest quality.
Yeah, he didn't stop going all innings, and he wasn't going to stop then. Michael Leask makes no mistake on the boundary, but what a fantastic innings. What have we just witnessed here at the Grange. Unbelievable innings. Goes for 80 from just 25 balls. Australia 123 for 3.
Well, Marcus Stoinis, a thorn in Scotland's side in St. Lucia. He comes to the crease with, well, despite the double wicket over from Mark Watt, the game all but over. It's been an extraordinary 5 or 6 overs, hasn't it, Preston? Wicket in the first over, a 3rd ball duck in T20I debut for Fraser McGurk. Then 5 overs of absolute carnage. Some might have been calling for the police to come and rescue Scotland. And then Mark Watt, the pace comes off the ball. 2 wickets in the over, could have been 3. A moment of real controversy as Inglis just, well, seemed to brain fade and allow the ball to hit his stumps. But and now, finally, a move for the other T20I debutant. Just 32 runs required to win. Oh, and Cross has ended up wrong-footing himself. Hares will have to come around and saves the boundary, but they will get back for 2. Preston, in all your build-up work towards this, you wouldn't have seen this coming. You'd have expected a competitive series. What exactly have we just witnessed?
Yeah, I think you used the word exhibition. It certainly was that. Absolutely unbelievable partnership between Travis Head and Mitchell Marsh. Such clean striking and genuine cricket shots. It wasn't bludgeoning as such. A lot of the shots hit along the ground.
Have Scotland also been a little guilty of maybe not adapting at all, adapting the way in which Australia did so well with the ball?
Yeah, I think very guilty in that power play. We saw the effect the Australian seamers were having when they're bowling those cutters, really bowling them, committing into the wicket. Made it difficult for Scotland to score through that middle period and back end of the innings. And then Scotland just too slow to revert to those variations, and becoming a bit too predictable in that power play. And you could see the batters setting themselves to hit the ball exactly where they wanted to. And we saw the introduction of spin after the power play and the immediate effect of slowing the pace down, becoming more difficult to score.
We've seen a world record fall here. The runs have just come too easily, haven't they, for Australia? It's always going to be difficult in the power play. We've seen Travis Head do this in the IPL. He was part of that opening duo that blitzed a quite unbelievable, I think it was 125, wasn't it, that he put on for the Sunrisers. Hyderabad, that broke the record in terms of any T20 game, and now in second place on that list, top of the list for T20Is, it's that man again, Travis Head. This is cut away. It's going to be cut away for 4. Gets it intentionally up and over the head of backward point. Good batting from Inglis.
Yeah, this is nicely played from Inglis. Knows exactly what he's doing here. Just uses that little bit of width that's on offer and pace. Effectively guides it past McMillan at backward point there, using the pace. Gets 4 runs.
It was Travis Head and Abhishek Sharma for the Sunriders. Risers Hyderabad, that was up at Delhi in April. Big pull shot now. There is a man out there, but it's gone miles over his head. This one's out of the ground as well. I thought the wickets might have slowed Australia, but they're just continuing to go at a supersonic speed. More awesome ball striking.
Yeah, for a split second, George Munsey thought he was in the game, but no, it was a long way over him. Just not enough pace at that length to trouble Inglis. And the clean striking continues.
It's all happened so quickly. It's happened at a breakneck pace. I've only been out there for 40 minutes, Preston. And this second innings is going to be over before it feels as though it's even truly begun. 18 runs required to win. Whoever's bowled has gone the distance. Yes, McMullen and Watt have picked up those wickets. But look at the economy rates. They're trending towards 20s rather than 10s or below. This is some hammering Australia. They're giving out, and now they're even wearing it at the non-striker's end, as Marcus Stoinis will be left with a bruise. And will close out the 8th over, 138 for 3. Preston, this doesn't really explain how good a team Scotland are, and it's not to say that we won't have very competitive games on Friday and Saturday, but this has been so one-sided here.
Yeah, certainly from the end of Scotland's batting power play, it's been all Australia. To say they've played smart, intelligent cricket, and then the way they've approached this innings here with the bat, it's been exemplary. It's been calculated, low-risk shots if you analyse the way they batted. But it's been all class, has to be said. Certainly, Scotland will be disappointed, though.
In every graph we show you and bring you, it just points out the differential between the sides. It was just nothing really of any note, was there, outside of the power play for those purple towers. Do the break and play here because Stoinis has been actually struck on the hand, I think. I thought at first it might have got him on the shoulder, but what he's done is he's stuck his hand up to try and kind of protect himself. He's ended up maybe wearing it on the smallest digit, the little finger. Has there been a little bit potentially, Preston, of the occasion getting the best of Scotland? They're well versed to going to world events, but it's been a while since they've had something as big as this, the world champions coming to town here in Edinburgh.
I'm not sure that's the case. I think the reality is here they're playing against some of the best players in the world. Travis Head being one of them, and he certainly wasn't messing about the way he's approached his innings today, and he's obviously in great touch already coming into this fixture. So it's back to the drawing board for Scotland in terms of their plans, because clearly their bowling plans were not effective through that power play, and they'll need to readdress that come Friday and Saturday, and how they look to stem the flow of runs, because that's the worrying thing here, is how easy Head and Marsh made it look through that period of 5 overs.
It was a blitzkrieg unlike anything I've ever seen, whether live with my own eyes or broadcast around the world as we're bringing you these pictures here. It was nothing short of outrageous ball striking at points. It was almost as if they could hit it to any part of the ground. Mark Watt's going to continue into his second. Stoinis is fit to stay out there. And it just looks like Scotland didn't have an answer. He's in brilliant form in Major League Cricket. The tournament winners there, the Washington Freedom, I think he got about 350 runs, something like that. But he's almost changing the game, isn't he, at the top in that power play. The most incredible thing about it is it doesn't look like it's slogging at any point. They're quite conventional cricket strokes. They're quite correct cricket strokes, albeit sometimes through the air.
Yeah, sometimes through the air, but a lot of time through the field and on the ground. And that's what's been so noticeable here. such low-risk cricket, just genuinely good cricket strokes. But the timing and the power he manages to generate through those quick hands and the way he hits it through the line, really impressive stuff. Just going back to Scotland and what they can do differently perhaps next time.
Well, something's got to give here, because again, for me, Stoinis was ready. And there's boos ringing out around the crowd, and I can understand why.
Yeah, and you wonder if this is perhaps something Australia have spoken about as a team. They know Mark Watt is going to do this 23-24 delivery.
But again, for me, Stoinis has fronted up to face the delivery. That should have been a dot ball. I don't understand why it's being given as a dead ball. If the batter's pulled out before the delivery is bowled, absolutely, he's entitled to do that. But he's fronted up, he's in a ready position to face the delivery, and then he's just refusing to play it.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. And I'm not sure why Mark Watt's not making more of a thing out there, to be honest with you.
Quite often, little instances like this end up actually resulting in law changes. I wonder, is it going to be something the MCC are going to have a look at, and maybe the umpires need to be a bit more fastidious with their left arm being out in terms of indicating the batter is not ready yet?
And just the context of the game where we're positioned at the moment, you can imagine if this was slightly different circumstances and slightly tighter, what impact that might have.
And maybe that's why Watt isn't sort of remonstrating with the umpire. He knows the game is gone. It's a stroke that will haunt Scottish fans that he played so well in St. Lucia. 9 have been bowled, 141 for 3. So the Stephen Finn law, if you will, be brought in. It's the attempted reverse sweep. That was for when he was constantly knocking the bail off at the non-strikers, and that's now a no ball. Do you think we might see something from the MCC?
Certainly would be interesting. It would be a shame for Mark Watt, because it's a tactic and strategy he's implemented so well, and it's become a really useful variation for him certainly in the T20 format.
The law change could be brought in his favour, though. It could say, and make it maybe a bit clearer for the umpires, that no, if the batter is, if your left arm is down, i.e. you think the batter is ready, the batter then must place the ball or play the ball. Really interesting, two fascinating moments in the course of a bigger picture. Jack Jarvis back into the attack, and he's clipped away for 4 more. Inglis making use of that bit of fortune, that life that he had, and it's 4 more.
Well, it's been a tough day for Jack Jarvis. 30 from his first, and his first ball of his second. It's worked away for 4. It's a lovely improvised shot there. The use of the feet, getting outside that off stump and creating that angle to open up that short fine leg region.
Driven really pleasingly. Seen some very conventional cricket strokes amidst the chaos, and that is the perfect extra cover drive.
Yeah, that sums up Australia's day nicely, the way they've batted. As you say, it's a classic off drive in the slot, must be said, but he's put it away beautifully.
Just 6 to win now. One blow could end it for Australia. Preston, you know the squad incredibly well. You've played with almost every one of them. You'll have captained plenty of them through your international career. There's plenty of resilience in that group. They will be able to bounce back, but when you're on the back end of a hammering like this, it can't be easy.
It won't be easy, but I think the positive thing for them is they got Friday and Saturday to really come back and improve themselves. Usually when you've got touring teams like Australia or England, it's usually just a one-off.
And that is going to be that. Australia, they have soared to victory in the most impressive of fashions. A terrific Travis Head masterclass, one of the best innings you will ever see in T20I cricket. He threatened maybe to be the fastest 100 of all time, a world record power play. the highest ever made in 6 overs by any team in an international. And some finishing touches applied by Marsh, and then Inglis, and a maximum from Marcus Stoinis guides the visitors home. There's no winter in Australia. They are fit and firing and ready to go. They have blitzed Scotland away and gone 1-0 up in the series to take the win by 7 wickets.
Oh, it's been an intelligent, smart, professional display from Australia right from ball one. Given Scotland nothing to work with. Scotland, well, they'll be disappointed, and it's back to the drawing board for them. They'll have to reassess their plans, certainly with the ball. With the bat, they showed promise. They threatened a large first innings score, couldn't quite get there. In the end, probably themselves admittedly falling 40, 50 runs short of a score they would have been happy with.
Well, even if they did have that 200 on the board, you suspect that it just wouldn't have been enough with the form that these Australian batters have shown early. We did feel that the wicket would get better and better, and indeed, well, we could be in for 2 real treats on Friday and Saturday if the weather holds and the sun continues, because as so often it is here at the Grange Club, it's a batter's paradise. For Scotland, the real disappointment, maybe even whisper it, just a hint of embarrassment, Preston, because so often they're incredibly competitive, and today they were anything but. That is as one-sided a contest probably I've ever seen Scotland play.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, T20 cricket, games can get away from you. Individual performances can really make it difficult, as Travis Head proved today on his own.
Don't forget Mitchell Marsh's role too. He struck it over 300 with 39 off 12 deliveries, hit 8 boundaries in those 12, and fittingly it was ended with a maximum from Marcus Stoinis, who's showing not too many ill effects from that blow to the hand. And the capacity crowd that came in, they've been treated well to an absolute extravaganza really, Preston. An exhibition of high quality batting. Australia proving, as we thought they would be, big favourites. Those dreams of a first ever win for Scotland over Australia, they'll have to wait for another day.
Sorry, mate, I'm gonna rugby talk you up.
Congratulations to record breakers Australia, winners today by 71. Come out soon, we're announcing today's player of the match winner. Should be too difficult.
Well, welcome back to the Grange Club in Edinburgh. The Scottish Saltire, it's not flying too high right now because Australia have completed a most remarkable and incredibly one-sided victory. I do just want to give a little bit of follow-up to the debate about the Mark Watt deliveries that were ruled as dead ball by, I have to thank the MCC for getting in touch with me on this and indicating that really the correct decision has been made. That doesn't change the discussion around it and the potential for it to be changed in the future, but in essence, according to the laws as they are currently, if the striker backs away, the umpire's call and signal of dead ball can basically come as long as the batter does not then go towards the ball and attempt a shot after the intent is shown of backing away, which certainly, it's probably, like so many of these laws, not overly clear, but it seems as though that is why dead ball has been given, and that is why the umpire has got it spot on. But certainly, Preston, for me, a big talking point from today, it's one that I suspect will set a few tongues wagging on social media. Applying anything to the letter of the law is difficult. It seems though the right decisions were made, but both times, we see if we can get a look at it here, both times you would think, if you're watching at home, you'd think, well, hold on, why isn't that out?
Yeah, he is hitting his bat down, looks up at the bowler, he's ready, and pulls away.
You said to me off air, you've never seen it as clear cut as this. I would fully agree with that.
Yeah, Mark Watt, this is something he does regularly, and clearly this is something Australia have spoken about as a batting unit. We're going to pull away if he tries to do this. But yeah, it's clear as day there that he's looking up ready to face that delivery.
Sometimes the umpire won't know whether the striker was ready or not, but should call and signal dead ball nonetheless. That's the indication we've been given by the laws. And now the umpires might, in some exceptional circumstances, form the opinion that it was, well, maybe a ruse or deception from the batting striker. That would then be dealt with law 41.10, which is unfair play, but a real moment of interest in and around what was a very, very one-sided contest. The series, well, it's got underway in perfect sunshine. It really has. Australia have moved 1-0 up in the series, and we're all set now for the post-match presentation with your host for that. It's Mel Farrell.
Well, it's no surprise that the player of the match here today is Travis Head. Outstanding 80 runs off just 25 balls. But what a wonderful moment, because to present him with the player of the match, we have Alex Steele down here, who at 82 years of age is still out there playing cricket at times, was awarded an MBE this year for services to cricket. He's a much loved figure here in Scotland cricket. So a terrific moment. Please give him a round of applause, and for Travis Ed as well. What a wonderful moment, and an inspirational figure as well. Thanks, Alec. Travis, blimey, we're used to pyrotechnics off your back, but even for you, that was extraordinary.
Yeah, nice way to get underway. So we've loved our time here so far, and I was a little nervous coming in. I've had a bit of a break coming in, so nice that me and the captain were able to get some runs there.
Well, you certainly didn't show any nerves, but even coming into this, you might not have played in a couple of months there, but the run you're on at the moment, is this as good as it's been for you?
Yeah, it's been a nice period for the last couple of years. Obviously, I'm very much enjoying the environment that we're in and the coaching staff and the players that I play with. Obviously, a little bit new now with a bit more energy, so it's good for a few of us that have been around for a while that we got some new energy and some young guys that are enthusiastic, so I think that helps with everything. It feels fresh, so but yeah, personally, I'll just hopefully continue to do what I'm doing.
And you won't have any nerves going into the second game, but is a plan for you to just go out there and belt it to all parts? It looked like stick cricket there at times.
Yeah, again, it was a tricky start, obviously losing Jake, and not sure what the wicket was going to do, but nice to get in the groove quickly, and then nice to have the captain at the other end, Mitchie, going about his work. So nice little partnership. Nice. Once I get away, I guess, that's my role, try to maximise the power play, and I think we did that.
Well, you did. It was a record power play. Well played today, and we look forward to seeing more from you in the remaining games.
Thank you. Look forward to it.
Okay, we're going to get the winning captain up now in Mitch Marsh. Job done. First cab off the rank in this tour.
Yep, always nice to start a tour with a win. We often speak about, certainly in a 3-match series, that it's really important to win the first game. So I thought we had a great start to the series.
For you, you've got some new faces in this team, some new combinations as well. What pleased you about today's performance in what you saw from, I guess, the bowling attack? We know what Travis can do.
I thought they were all really good. I think from our end, from the leadership point of view, it's just about being really clear on what they're trying to do, and then we judge the execution. So I thought they were great. A lot of energy. Thought the boys fielded well, and that's all we ask.
And just the reception that you've got here, it was a great atmosphere at the Grange today, wasn't it?
It was. You can tell that the Scottish people are extremely proud of their cricket and their country and who they are. So for an Australian team to come here, it's a real privilege, and we're loving our time here so far.
Well, we look forward to seeing you back here in a couple of days' time.
Thanks, Mel.
Now we're just going to hear from Richie Berrington. Now, Richie, bit of a chastening day, I guess, after all the anticipation and build-up, but a reminder of just what a good side they are.
Yeah, look, I think that's what you expect sometimes when you're up against one of the best teams in the world. I think we did start the game pretty well, I thought, with the bat. Had a decent power play there. Unfortunately, there was a few of us that got in, didn't quite manage to kick on, but I think that's also credit to the Australian bowlers. I thought they adapted to the wicket really quickly and made it hard to sort of get it away and really capitalise on that start and put a big score on the board.
So how do you go away and then come back for this? Still got 2 games, so a real chance to bounce back and try for a different result.
Yeah, look, obviously we're really disappointed with how things ended up today, but look, it's a great experience, especially for some of our younger guys who have come into the team today. So we need to take what we can from this experience. Dust ourselves down. As you say, there's another great opportunity coming up in a couple of days' time, and if we execute a little bit better with a few things, we'll give ourselves a chance to get back into the game, and that's what we have to look forward to in 2 days' time.
And also, I guess it's important to remember, you get so few opportunities to play against sides like this, and it's so important for you guys to be able to get better all the time, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, as a team, we want to keep improving all the time, and I think getting exposure to play against teams like Australia is only going to help make us better. But as I said, we do have to try and learn and take away as much as we can from every experience that we get, because we don't get it too often. But look, we have to keep that belief, because we've shown that we can compete when we play our best cricket. Unfortunately, today we didn't quite manage to do that. But as I said, we'll look to learn from it and come back strong for the next one.
Well, I'm sure you will. All the best in the next couple of days before we see you back out here again.
Thanks, Mel.
So that is it for our live coverage here from the Grange. Australia far too good in the end, winning by 7 wickets, but plenty more action to come back with games on Friday and Saturday. So make sure, wherever you're watching from around the world, that you tune in for the second T20 International between Scotland and Australia. For now, it's goodbye.
Well, goodbye from Mel, not goodbye from us yet, Preston. I want to spend a bit more time talking about this man, Travis Head, because, well, we've seen probably one of the great T20I innings, really, in terms of the way in which he struck the ball. You can see why he is maybe one of the most in-demand batters in the world.
Well, the crowd here.
Apart from that breakthrough, then it was a 113-run partnership that blitzed and ended the game before Mark Watt came on and picked up 2 in the over.
Yeah, it was carnage in between the wickets, certainly, but Mark Watt, an immediate impact, as he does. He's certainly Scotland's most effective bowler, so you want to get him on as early as you can in the innings. Let him make that impact, and we see him do that immediately here in the 7th with 2 in the over. The 2 men who were flying along. That is the wickets of Travis Head, and another good catch from Michael Leask as well on the boundary.
Yeah, and he could well have had 3 in the over with that real moment of controversy. Leask is outstanding in the deep as always. Just one more update from the MCC, got to thank them for this. It's law 20.4.2.5. The striker is not ready for delivery of the ball, and if the ball is delivered and